All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those who may be watching the playback, for those who are tuning in live, let me just turn off my let me turn off my own preview so you don't hear the playback. Welcome. I'm doing a podcast with my good friend Boilee. Say hello, Boilee.
Hello.
So yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of an experimentation. We're gonna do a podcast. We originally were gonna do a podcast on his channel, but technical issues ensued, and I was able to set up things without any problems. Thank goodness, because I'm not actually streaming video, just audio. So there should be no lag issues. So yay.
I always get issues. I always get issues.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And I should have the audio. I hope I have the audio mixed up. I may be a bit more shouty. I can bring that down. So yeah, at any point, I mean, I'll probably just repeat this because there's no one in chat right now. But once people are in chat, they can let me know how it sounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't we start with your piece of your piece of controversial topic?
Oh, Flight 76. You know, your worst enemy.
The game that shall not be named.
No, I'm surprised you didn't kill it over by me just saying that one word.
Oh my goodness!
Was it 2 words?
I honestly cannot take that game seriously anymore. Like I tried to I watched Oxhorn play it for a little bit, and I watched I think the first 10 or 15 of his live streams or something, but he just keeps on going and going and going, and I'm just like, how long is he milking that thing for?
Yeah, that's like me when it first came out. He streamed it, and I watched about 10 minutes of it, and you know me, I normally watch Oxford religiously. I can watch him all day.
Absolutely.
I just couldn't. It's just boring.
I managed to actually sit through the first few streams because they were very story driven, and I wanted to get to know the story a bit. And I'm like, okay, I could kind of get into this, but after listening to a bunch of logs and listening to a bunch of audio logs, I'm just after a while, I just get bored because I'm just there's no human interaction. There's no human element to it. So I'm just eh.
Yeah, but that's one of the biggest things when it came out. Because obviously, when they said there's going to be plenty to do, and then they said there's actually not going to be any NPCs in the game to actually interact with, people was how do you even get
Yeah, it sounds really shady to me. Where it's if you don't have any NPCs, okay, then what's the gameplay? Yeah. Is the game just going to be you running around in an open map? It sounds like it's a map editor game. Where there's this empty map and you can do whatever you want with it. I'm like, that's not a game. I think it's
best described for add-on pack, like a DLC.
I would like to see Fallout 4 with a multiplayer server option. I think that would have been much better than doing Fallout 76. But then again, I understand there's a complication with NPCs because if you kill an NPC, then you kill it for everybody. But I mean, games like World of Warcraft exist, and there's ways of probably killing certain NPCs, and there's there has to be workarounds with that.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Obviously, when I first watched the trailer, because obviously where I've played basically played from Fallout 1 and up. Obviously, I played Fallout 4. That's the last game. And that game was alright. It was obviously when I first from playing from Fallout 3, because that's basically the first stuff Fallout I played. That's how I got into it. And then playing from that to Fallout New Vegas, and then got into Fallout 4. Fallout 4 didn't really feel like an RPG per se, because obviously they gave it a a voice protagonist, which kind of worked, but then it didn't kind of work at the same time. It was just here and there. Yeah. And then also, as more I started playing, I was like, you know what, this actually isn't like a RPG. It's more like a first-person shooter. Because also they changed it up there.
Yeah.
And they try to experiment with things like the voice, the voice protagonist. When you select an option, let's just say it says he's going to say, okay, let's do it. Instead of saying, okay, let's do it, what you've picked, you go, okay, let's go. You just say something completely different. And there's the role play side of it was just to me, it wasn't there. I did get bored halfway through. The storyline is, it's alright. It's a little bit, it was a bit hyped up,
Absolutely. I mean, advertisers tend to do that with any product. They tend to hype up, even, the lamest things. It's it's new and improved, when in reality, nothing changed.
No, that's like me. Like, also when I seen the trailer and it seen the nuclear explosion, I was like, wow, like holy shit, we're actually going to be like, we're going to be watching it, like basically playing it before the actual nukes go off, so we're going to be seeing it. But it's literally just like in your house. It's more or
Yeah.
less a tutorial. That's
I
essentially
do
what it is,
like
a
the idea
tutorial.
though of being able to launch like a nuclear weapon anywhere on the map. Like that thing I do like because I think
Yeah,
that
that Fallout
that brings
76,
an
yeah,
element of the game that I think was missing from all the other franchises. Because like you hear about
yeah,
all these like nuclear weapons and nuclear technology that still exists, but like why aren't there leftover nukes to like
yeah.
play
Exactly.
around with? Like that would be such an
Well, that's
amazingly fun concept to like devastate
yeah.
sections of the map with nuclear
Yeah, that's
bombs.
what, coming from Fallout 4, I was like, oh, okay. And then obviously, I seen the Fallout 76 trailer get released. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, it's going to be good. And obviously, they showed it's going to be in West Virginia. I was like, all right. So it's going to have a bit of a like, mixed, because we call it bombs.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Yeah. So it's going to be mixed. It's going to be mixed landscapes and everything. And obviously, as time went on, more news started coming out of it. And then then obviously they done I think it's E3, and they
Hmm.
say it's going to be based, or it's going to be online based. And then from there, I was like, oh no. I knew from there because it's their first ever game online. I was
Yeah.
like, you're
Well,
going to make
no, didn't they
a
have
game.
the Elder Scrolls Online already released by then?
Yeah, but that was made by ZeniMax. That was made by I think that's their parent company.
Oh, that's a
So
different. Oh, okay.
yeah. Is I've not played that. Actually, I've been tempted to play that, but they said is it and like what kind of game is it, like an MMO game?
I mean, I would
So it's
prefer to have like the game of Skyrim, but with the entire map of Tamriel.
yeah,
I don't
well
want the
that's
online
what I
component. I
mean.
just want to play in all of Tamriel. Like, I want to go to Hammerfell and Cyrodiil and like all
Yeah,
these
well
extra fancy places.
I've got a guy online and he plays Elder Scrolls Online. And he said to me because I wouldn't from buying it 'cause obviously with the cinematic trailers, he said doesn't really represent the game itself. It don't do it a whole lot of justice because like they said the trailers are like really hyped up to what the gameplay is. And I think he goes, if you've played Oblivion, Skyrim, and everything, don't expect the Elder Scrolls Online to be the same sort of like gameplay. It
Yeah,
takes
see,
place
that's
in
what I
this.
want. Like, that's what I want
Yeah,
in a game is I want the entire map to be available for me to roam around to, explore.
well,
Like,
that's what I
if you go to
mean.
like World of Warcraft, you have like what three continents and a whole other planet to explore.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but
Like that map is
that's
huge.
what you can do. But they add each continent in DLC. It's like DLC packs.
Hmm.
And like he said, like when it first came out, because it's basically pretty boring because obviously the Imperial City, because it's set when got the Daedric Prince, but when it first got attacked by the Daedric Prince, and
Yeah,
it's way
yeah.
before the events, is in the
And
second era.
I get that because, like, releasing massive sections of a continent can take a lot of time. I mean, Euro Truck Simulator 2 does the same thing. They didn't have
Yeah,
the whole map of Europe. They started with just like sort of Western Europe from like France to Germany, and then they eventually started adding, Scandinavia was a pack. They added the rest of France. They added the rest of Italy. The most recent one is the going Baltic. So you've added Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, parts of Russia, and Finland. So I
yeah.
understand that you have to add certain sections
Well,
of the
that's what I
game
mean.
over time because it takes a while
That's
to render that
he says
stuff
you can
out.
go to says you can go to Skyrim and everything because you can go to Skyrim, but obviously Skyrim's not going to look the same as it do in the Skyrim game because obviously because it's set in the second era. So it's like it's
Yeah,
like
that's
some
true.
places
There
it
there
might be
will be
developed.
some differences, especially when it
Yeah,
comes
but
to
that's
like the
what he said.
historical
Well, when he
display
said,
of the
well, that's
area.
what he said. When it first came out, he goes, it is okay. He goes, if you're expecting when it first came out, he goes, if you're expecting like just to jump in the game and go straight to the Imperial City, because it's not you can see the Imperial City, but they later added that into like an expansion where you can
Mm,
actually go inside the Imperial City.
yeah.
But he says as time's got on, it has got better. Like they have like at one point it was because it can get quite repetitive and gets quite boring. But I've always wanted in the Elder Scrolls World, universe, let's say. I've
Hmm.
always wanted to go to the set Isles. Is it Isles? That's I said, yeah.
I
And
think
they
so.
released a DLC for that, so you can go there. And their latest one, I seen the trailer. I think it's like 2 months ago. You can actually go to elsewhere,
Oh wow.
and yeah, so you like you said, you can actually basically travel around the whole Tambriel.
Hmm.
And how they're looking at it, they're adding, like I said, they're actually adding each continent
Yeah.
by in the form of DLCs. We're probably gonna see Black Mars. They've done a Morrowind one. You can go to Morrowind.
Hmm.
Um, So that's one thing. That's a game that I would wish that would get remastered is Morrowind, because I've actually played Morrowind and it's a pretty good game, but is quite limited when it in terms of like this was when Bethesda were like just taking off and everything, but like you can to be fair, I'd rather like just boot up like either Elder Scrolls Oblivion or like Morrowind instead of Fallout 76, because it's just Fallout 76 just no, there's no reason to want to play it unless that like you're bored. You're like you must be bored. Like I mean, she bought it for like when it came out, and I told her you're mad because she didn't even buy the actual like physical copy. She just bought the download.
Yeah.
And she said she regretted buying it. Literally, she paid in UK £60. I don't know how much that's in like
that usually pounds are about double Canadian dollars. So yeah, 60 would be about $120 Canadian.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot. It's quite. It's meant to be a AAA game where it was anything but that. It's far from a AAA game. And even she said it wasn't worth it. She said like she booted it up, so all she got was constant server like disconnections. And she said if it wasn't that, nothing can work in the game. It's boring.
So yeah, I'm really curious what the price of the game is in Amazon Canada. So Fallout 76 for PC for Canada is on Amazon $62.72. So that's about £40 or so.
Yeah, that's what it's like here.
But then for Xbox One it's $38. And for PlayStation 4 it's $34.98. So like even amongst consoles there's like different pricings. And it's just
well, I know on PlayStation because on the PSN network is literally $49.99 to download. Yeah. I'm like, hell no.
Like it's ridiculous. And you can also get a Xbox One 1TB Fallout 76 bundle for $470, which is like if I ever wanted an Xbox One, I would get like a Fallout 4 bundle. Yeah, but like you can't find them anymore because they're pushing 76.
Oh yeah, they're definitely pushing it 76. Yeah, literally. But like I play Fallout 4 from like time to time, and like it's a good game, but it's not comparable to like Fallout New Vegas. Like Fallout New Vegas to me is Fallout 3 was good. Like the only thing that bothered me about playing Fallout 3 was like there's no iron sights. Like it's kind of sluggish controls. Like the shooting in the game used to like annoy me literally because obviously you can't look down the scope. It was that, but then also they made was it Obsidian Entertainment actually developed Fallout New Vegas?
I think so.
And, that was it was a perfected version of Fallout.
I'm laughing at some of the descriptions here. It's like some of the features that are listed on Amazon is you will emerge. That is literally the name of the feature. And then it's like Mountain Splendorland, A New American Dream. The power of Atom 1 really makes me laugh because it's like go to lone or with fellow survivors to unlock access to the ultimate weapon, nuclear missiles. This is multiplayer. This is built for multiplayer. Like, shouldn't you not be like pushing multiplayer? Like,
Fallout 76 to me, because I've seen people play it. To me, it just screams out Fallout 4 copy and pasted. That's literally what they've done, but they've not tried to optimize it for online experience.
Yeah, and it's less charming. I feel like Fallout 4 has like a certain charm when it comes to like I don't know, maybe this is geography. Like if Boston, Massachusetts has like a nicer charm than West Virginia, but like I feel like there's not as much charm in West Virginia than there is in 76 than there is in 4. Hello Lance, welcome to the podcast stream chat. Hope you're doing well. It's really just like I try to comprehend. I try to give it like a chance with, especially through Oxhorn, because like Oxhorn is I think one of the best sources to watch Fallout material because he presents it in such a way that is palatable, even if he engages with like I don't want to say necessarily a boring topic, but like a topic that's not necessarily for everyone. He still manages to do it in a very entertaining way. And like
it was like Creation Club content. It's like literally, it's basically just like little mini pig mods.
Like he does Creation Club stuff, but like I can't stand the concept of it because like sometimes the mods just really do suck, and it's like it's putting people like Eleonora, for example, like to shame because like Eleonora is this amazing modder, and yet she's not getting paid by Bethesda. She does it out of her own like.
She's uncredited. She don't get enough credit, personally.
Absolutely not. Like, she should be literally be like running Bethesda at this point. Like,
I use most of her mods, like literally on PS4. Like I've showed you this on PS4 when they done the new Creation Club. I've only purchased like 2 or 3 mods out there that I think was worth. What, like 2 of them was player homes, because Fallout 4, if you, because obviously I've done the PlayStation 4, so mods are quite limited to me.
oh yeah,
If you play Fallout 4, player homes are quite scarce, like, because obviously you've got the building mechanics, so they just expect you, like, build something in a settlement, live
yeah. They
there.
expect you to like build
Or,
your own sort of house in the
yeah,
settlement versus like PC. You have so much freedom to like
yeah. Yeah.
install like
Well,
for
I
like
have done it.
yeah
I have built stuff. I have built the player rooms, but it's not the same as having, because obviously you've got settlers coming in using your shit and all that. Like, it's just kind of annoying sometimes.
oh
And then you've
yeah
got constant settlement attacks. That's the difference between a settlement and actual like player home world space. So that's
mm-hmm.
why I purchased 2 player homes, and they cost me what, £3. So it's not
Oh
that
my god,
much.
you actually paid money for that? Like that's
Yeah, it's like it's free, like £3. I didn't mind that, and then also I think that because obviously the works bench in it lacks certain things, and then obviously
yeah
there was this mod. I was like, oh, I'm not going to buy it. I can't fit with that. But then I realized it like Eleonora.
yeah
It basically just adds 75 new stuff to your workbench. So I was like,
yeah.
oh, I'll buy that. Most of the mods on it, they like to call them, when Fallout 4 first came out, they said, well, we created like a store. It's called Creation Club,
Mm.
and they said we like to call them mini DLCs, and I'm like, no, I call them microtransactions.
They're literally
Essentially, what they are.
microtransactions. Like
Yeah,
for
they're
me,
cosmetic.
for mods, I want all mods to be free, but then have the option to donate money if you really love the mod, if you're using it constantly.
Yeah,
Because like a lot of mods are very iffy, especially with 70. Well, I mean, especially with 76, but with any game, they're bound to be bugs and clashes. And if you buy like a mod for like $3 and your game crashes, then you can be out $3. Sure, you can try and do refunds, but then you have
yeah, but
shady tactics by
that's the issue.
companies, and it's like, no, I would rather
Yeah,
donate money to a creator like Eleonora, who
yeah,
puts out fantastic content and who doesn't get the credit that they deserve, because
no,
quite frankly, I'm more comfortable with donating money than having to pay up front. And that's
yeah,
just, I feel like that's just, especially when it comes to mods, I think that's so critical.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. But it's like the Creation Club. When I first got it, like for like for it, it's just like patch after patch. It's just like it's big patches as well. And
Oh, it's
literally, you
ridiculous.
basically
I don't. What was
inside
the
the patches.
latest patch for 76? Wasn't it like some huge? Like, wasn't Fallout 76's
6 gigs,
latest
the
patch
actual
like really
size of the
huge or
game.
something?
Yeah, literally when the game came out, they done a patch. I think it. Let me have a look. I think it's like 40 or 50, but it's
I think it
basically
was
the
a
same
50
size
gig
as the base game.
patch. I think
Yeah, yeah, and it didn't add to the storage. It basically just replaced a lot of like textures
it
with
was
in-sync
ridiculous.
skin.
Like that should have been fixed. Like there should have been a beta
Yeah,
period. Then you close the beta period for like, I don't know, who knows how long, like a week or something, and then release the game. You don't release the game as soon as the beta ends. Like that's
but the game they released was literally the beta. It was literally, if you look at the beta, if you look at beta videos that people's done, and
yeah. There's no
this
difference.
game, it's the same goddamn thing. It's the same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
They did, well, look at the patch. The patch literally, the side part is the patch didn't add on. Cause like let's use Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because that's one game that's good. It's normally a 55 gigabyte base game. That's 55 gigabytes base game, and then
Mm.
there's like a 17 gigabyte patch, and that's added on. So the game realistically after patch is around about what, 70 gigabyte. But with
Mm.
Fallout 76, it's like 50 gig, and then they done like a 50 odd gig patch, and it didn't add on. It basically just replaced a lot of stuff that was on the disc. I was like, if it's 50 gigabytes worth of shit, basically the game, how much stuff did you miss? What did you not put
Yeah.
on the disc? Literally, was it
It's
just the beta? Was it the beta you
oh
literally just put on the
probably
disc?
oh probably.
Yeah. Is that literally what you just sold?
And I mean,
The
and it's
beta.
and it's so dumb. Like when people bought Fallout 76, it's not even a disc. It's literally a code that you have to go online to grab.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
Steam
looking
code,
at
yeah.
the this Amazon review, and they literally send a picture of what looked like a disc, and then it's literally just a paper disc. So
Yeah.
there's no there's no actual physical copy of Fallout
No.
76. You can buy the case, but it comes with a cardboard disc that
Yeah,
has the game
exactly.
code on it. I'm like, that's not that's
It's
not a
just
physical copy of the game.
the
Like I
whole
can't
game, to me, the
put
game is
that
just
in
to
my
make money.
Xbox.
Yeah, the game was just to me. It was a quick sell. It's like they're just trying to milk whatever it is.
Oh
They're just
yeah.
trying now. They are trying to milk it now. Yeah, the DLCs are free. Just give it that. The DLCs are free. Yeah, but then you kind of the fans, if there is any fans left, there is people still playing it, but after their fan
Yeah.
base is gone, they've moved on to other games and everything. Well, look, the Atomic Shop, for instance,
Oh Lord.
that's the Creation Club reskinned. That's all that is the Creation Club
Oh,
reskinned.
absolutely.
But there's content on there. Like literally, what it over here is about 18. It's about £18, and I'm like, what? Just for a fucking suit? It's literally just
Oh
for
yeah,
one suit. I
and
think
what's even
it's
worse is
£18.
that there's the controversy where they tried to put stuff on the at the Adam shop, that apparently was on sale, which never was on sale in the first place. It was the original price. I'm
Yeah,
like, you
exactly. But that's
can't
what I
do
mean.
that in I don't know if there's a Canadian law, but I know in certain countries you can't do that because that's
No,
like
Australia is
illegal.
probably
But
one of
I
them.
don't know about Canada, but
Yeah,
like it's bad.
yeah. Australia is probably one of them. They're quite strict with their like computer
Hmm.
games. They're like surprisingly strict on. But that's what I mean. Like, there's like an outfit on there. It's like I can't remember what actually outfit it is. But that's like £18. I'm like, for £18, get the you got The Witcher. That's a good game. The Witcher 3 is a good game, but The Witcher 3, the DLC is £20. For an extra £2, you can buy an expansion pack for The Witcher 3, and that adds around about what 10 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, like that's
Like,
really good.
how do you? Yeah, it's not even comparable. Like I don't think they must really think they're like their fan base are stupid. They really must think they're when also there's gonna be a couple of people that pay it just because they want it, but then the most majority are gonna go we know you're screwing us over. Come on, like
I
who's gonna
also
pay
love
eighteen
that
pounds?
Fallout 76 has what they call the Fallout 76 official collector's edition guide. It's literally a manual. Like I'm looking through some of the pages because Amazon actually gives you previews on the pages. It's literally a manual with like
Yeah,
a little bit of regional information. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the stream chat. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm literally looking at this. It's talking about like what a Pip Boy is and like what are the different regions of West Virginia, and it's like how to use perk cards. I'm like, this is essentially a manual. Like, they're like,
yeah,
I would like it to be um, like I don't mind manuals because like they're important for like, but it's like helpful hint from Vault Boy. I'm like, that's a manual talk. That's not like
yeah.
where's a lore book? Like I want a book about like the
Remember back
vaults
in
of
the day with Windows
76 or
96?
something.
Remember back in the day with Windows 96, when you just get a little paperclip do come up, would you like help? That's
Oh
literally
yeah,
what it is.
Clippy. Oh yeah, well
It,
that was also in Windows 2000s. I actually had that. I remember that when I was a kid.
yeah, but it's
Um,
annoying. You don't need it. It's like, go away.
See,
It's like,
like I'm looking at another book. It's the Fallout Cookbook. This looks good. Like it
yeah,
actually looks like someone took the time to like make like Blamco mac and cheese or like baked pork and beans or like braised deathclaw steak. Like that's just so that I love.
yeah.
I absolutely
It's
love
just,
that concept. It's like
but
it brings it to life.
yeah, but the game could have been good. That's the paying side of it. The game could have been good with a little bit more effort, a bit more time,
No.
and
Oh my god.
but
I'm literally like
the higher up,
salivating over some of these images. I'm just like, oh my goodness, these look really good.
it's just the
Not gonna
higher up
lie.
just wanted to push the game out. They just wanted to push the game out, and boom.
Oh
And
yeah, no,
they honestly they thought it
they're
was
in it
gonna
for
sell.
money. They're in it for money,
They
absolutely.
thought it was gonna sell. But it's crap. It's like literally stuff in the Atomic Shop is literally free content you can get from Fallout 4. Like the greaser jacket, you
Oh
can pretty much
yeah.
pick that up anywhere in Fallout 4. I've got in my inventory. Well, actually, in one of my cabinets in my player rooms, I've got around about 43 of those. I don't know why I
Mm.
collect them. I just collect them for my settlements, so I can like put different uniforms on my settlements and everything, like a bit of like role play and all that. Like in some of my settlements, some of them like where brothers steal stuff and etc. etc.
Mm.
It's literally like in Fallout 4 that was a free thing, and now like because Fallout 76 is online, or like we can charge for the outfit, and like the just like loads of the outfits on there are free in Fallout 4, and they're paying. You got paid for them in Fallout 76.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not that
no,
they
it's
need to;
ridiculous.
it's just because they want to. I
Yeah.
mean, like you can make money on that, and it's like I like with the nukes, for instance. The nukes is a gameplay mechanic. I reckon being able to nuke other players, yeah, that's good. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'll play 6. That's one thing I think I like. But even then, they didn't optimize it. Like I think it's like what a month into the game, someone found out there's a certain I
Yeah.
can't remember what it's called now, but there's a certain point in the map. if you nuke it, you get insane XP. Essentially, you can do, and
Oh,
that's
really?
essentially what it's just a location with a load of ghouls basically, but the ghouls respawn more or less straight away.
Hmm.
So you can nuke it and then just nuke it again. It's just basically a perfect farming spot.
Oh,
And then they
wow.
patched it. They patched it. They put basically lower leveled goals in out there and not so many.
Hmm.
All well and good. Then someone else find another location
Yeah.
where you can do it. You can XP farm and everything, and then obviously with all the duplication glitches, I think that
Yeah.
you all that. And then obviously with the controversy with the fucking the bag that I'm just glad they didn't pre-order. That's why you don't pre-order.
Oh, I
Personally,
never
you
pre-order
shouldn't.
anything.
No, you just shouldn't. And then obviously with all that controversy, and then people online literally find the developer room, didn't they? And it had all the content of the Atomic Shop, and
Hmm.
it's just like, what have you done with this game? Like it's might
Yeah,
be a good game,
it's
but like I can't help but think that I'm not be funny. Like like they say, oh, well, you've not tried it, you've not been on the game. It's like I think I've seen enough to not want to play the game. You know what I mean? If you're gonna serve me up crap, why would I want to touch it?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my
It's
goodness.
just
I'm
it's
I'm
just
browsing through Amazon right now. Apparently, The Elder Scrolls is coming out with a cookbook on March the 26th. I'm genuinely excited for this because it has like
don't.
saltras porridge, imperial mushroom sauce, leek and cheese crostatas, the water of life, which is like
Oh,
fennel
hello,
seeds,
man.
caraway seeds, juniper berries, dill, and vodka. And like it's an actual cookbook based off like from the best-selling author of the World of Warcraft version. Oh my
Oh yeah.
gosh. And there's also Game of Thrones cookbook. I
I
didn't
swear
realize
there's a
like these
YouTuber that
games
does
have
that.
cookbooks. Like this is a
Yeah.
very weird, like there's the Shire cookbook, which I guess is like Lord of the Rings and like Game of Thrones, Dungeons and Dragons, like who knew, like
Yeah.
Harry Potter cookbooks, like what is this?
In
This is
chat, they're saying
just
West Virginia. I don't know why they're saying West Virginia. Obviously, Fallout 76.
West Virginia followed. Oh, because there's that song of Country Roads or whatever.
Oh, don't get me started on that. For the last week, I just heard it come onto my YouTube, and then I can't get out of my head, and then it instantly made me think of Fallout 76. You know what? That's
Mm,
the only good thing about Fallout 76 was the what's it called? The live motion. Is it live motion? Could you call it live motion trailer?
live action.
Like that. Yeah, live action. That's the one. That's the only good thing about that the game so far, and
Yeah.
it's not even part of the game.
See, like
I
I'm
enjoyed that.
looking at different lore books for the Elder Scrolls, and that looks like a proper lore book because it actually tells you stories of like living with lycanthropy.
You
So
know
like
that
it
stuff
talks
is I
about
want.
werewolves and stuff. I'm like, this is
Yeah,
the book
I
that
don't
Fallout
even read
76 should
books.
have.
Yeah, I don't really read books, but that's probably a book I would like. I know if I go
Oh,
into Skyrim when I'm playing Skyrim, I sit down and read a book in a game.
I hate that they're so expensive in Canada. Like the Elder Scrolls Online Volumes 1 and 2, The Land and the Lore, which is a box set, goes for like almost $80. Like
Yeah,
I don't believe in paying a lot for books because like that's just me. But like that's
yeah,
ridiculous because like uh,
yeah. But that's what I mean. If you look at Skyrim, like I played Oblivion. The first game I ever played was Oblivion. That was like they are good games. They are good games.
mm-hmm,
And that it's just mad to think how like how hard perceived us like fell. Because obviously
mm-hmm,
you play Oblivion, like that's a good game. I just like all the lore because they actually include the lore. And like what I like about that, they keep the immersion and the realism there because like obviously you play the events of Oblivion, you play as the hero of Cyrodiil or the champion of Cyrodiil.
yeah,
And literally when you go into when you go to Skyrim, there's actually a book called On Oblivion, and it literally just tells you the events from the previous game. And
mm-hmm,
that's things that I like. I like because it's like it keeps it like it kind of like connects the whole lot, and it feels like it's connected. Where some games, you play the sequel and like the past is kind of like it's like it didn't even exist.
mm-hmm.
But now they're going to be releasing Elder Scrolls 6. I'm skeptical. I'm like because this is a franchise. I don't want them to fuck up because I'm not being funny. The Fallout 76, that's just they know like Fallout 76 just bombed hard. It bombed hard, and they know it did because there was no response or anything. They didn't even do a response why it was terrible. And now to me, it just feels like they're probably sat there like, this is a failure. We're trying doing what we can with it, but let's just basically let's move on to our flag title
Yeah.
but I don't want them to rush it. And I'm like, if they rush Elder Scrolls 6, if we even get Elder Scrolls 6
Knowing
at
the
this point,
stupidity of Todd Howard, probably. I'm looking. There's on Amazon. There's a book called The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, the Skyrim Library, volumes 1 through 3, and it's collected texts from Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim bound within 3 volumes. Now I don't know exactly what that means because there's like no page things, but it could mean like the books that are in game are now in print.
damn.
And
I
I'm
to get
like,
one of
I
those.
want all of them. Like all 4 of them are going for like $114 for all 3, and I'm just like, oh god, it's
Well,
expensive.
Miranda says the Lusty Argonian maid is good.
Oh
God damn it.
lord, I actually have read the book in game. It's quite
Plan,
interesting.
did you? Well, you've read it? I normally just pick up and burn it.
Well, no, I actually, because I am curious what it actually was about, but it's like it's only like 2 or 3 pages long. Like,
Oh, is
and there's nothing like really direct. It's basically just like a lot of innuendos. It's
So
basically
you
like
just set up a book, basically.
it's like, oh, I have, I have to polish your spear and it's like, okay, to any like
Yeah.
6-year-old, they're not going to think anything of that.
Well, I
It's like,
hope not.
it's like, oh yes, I have to polish my weapons, make them look nice and shiny.
The first time I find that book is when I don't know where I was to. I can't remember this one again. People in chat probably knows where I'm talking about, but it's like a little cabin in like enclave of rock, and it's just a shack with like a tree well, like a tree just fell on top of the shack. And there's literally someone inside just dead. Right next to their corpse is a lusty Argonian. So
Oh
pretty sure.
geez.
I told you I wasn't going to talk about these topics, but the chat's gone into that kind of like that
Oh
area. But
my.
I think he was like he was just there, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And then obviously Lusty Argonian. I didn't even read it. I knew what it was like. It was Skyrim's equivalent of interesting.
Yeah.
Could I
See,
say
this is what pissed me off. I'm looking at I really should stop looking at Amazon because I'm just gonna start drooling. But I'm looking at this book. It's called Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Legendary Standard Edition Prima Official Game Guide, and I'm looking at the image of the back of the book, and it shows the price. So in the United States, it's $30, and in Canada, it's $34. On Amazon, they're trying to charge $100 for the book.
Oh,
When it's
you're
only
getting
worth like what was it, $34. And I'm looking at some of the previews and I'm like, this book looks really nice, I want this book. But
but not for that
I
price.
would be okay with paying $34 for a book that contains 2 large sized map posters with all like the whole capitals and stuff, with over 1,100 pages of accurate Bethesda approved content, and listing 500 enemies and 2,000 items, including like its critical data. It's like, I want this is the guide that I want. But like the fact that Amazon wants to charge me $99 for the paperback. This is not even the hardcover. This is the paperback. Like a hardcover is twice the price. It's $200. I'm like, this is highway robbery when the book itself literally says $33. Like, I'm beyond words.
Yeah, but it's just because they're trying, they're trying their best to, because Skyrim, another thing is Skyrim's a good game, like undoubtedly is a good game.
Yeah, but like Amazon charging almost 3 times the price for a book like that, like I'm.
Yeah, it's daylight robbery. It's what essentially it is. They're robbing you as they're like you saying.
Oh yeah. Like, and especially when I can see the price of the book in an image, like that's just not right. Like I would imagine, like, okay, maybe someone would pay like $100 for this book. I see. I'm on a bookstore. I mean, it's out of stock right now, but like it's on for $34.
Yeah.
Like I can buy it in a store. Oh look, I can buy a paperback online okay, I can buy the online version for $23 for an atlas. Yeah. Like I can buy the Elder Scrolls Volume 1 library for $36.07 instead of $46.
On my Xbox 360 version of Skyrim, when Skyrim first came out, I literally I think it's Prosper Manor, I think it's in Solitude. I literally have all the books in my in there. Literally, you just read them in game for free.
I can get the Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition Prima official guide for $32 on this website. I'm curious what it's going for on Amazon. I'm really curious.
Yeah, but you got me. They released that game quite a lot. Like how many versions of that game came out is insane. Like, obviously, it came out on PS3 and Xbox 360 back in the day.
Oh
Then
yeah.
they re-released it for PS4, Xbox, but it came out on PC like back in the day, and then they released the special edition for PC. As I think, do PC gamers really need it? Because I'm not very fun. Look at the modding community for Skyrim on PC, but then there's like, well, now you can add more mods and like more the textures. You can add better textures. That's all fair, but I don't think I want to pay £60 for a game that basically I've already got. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
also they released it for Nintendo Switch. I was like, they are really milking it because I'm not obviously Skyrim. I'm not if I you say Bethesda or Bethesda. What game do you
Bethesda?
think of? Yeah, Bethesda. I say it weird.
I
What
was
do you
like
think of?
Bethesda,
Yeah,
like, eh?
Yeah, I say it weird. Bethesda. Yeah, but I'm British. Come on.
Well, I mean, still. Okay, so yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like the price is the same for Fallout 4. And funny enough, I can get the Fallout New Vegas official game guide paperback for $15.50, which is actually a pretty good price. And it ships from the UK, funny enough.
Is it
But
from the UK? I just buy it for you. I
well,
probably do it cheaper.
I don't know how much they'd be charging in the UK. There's also a nice website that I like to use for like used books and stuff that I should probably check out because they sell like ridiculous. Like I was able to buy an atlas from 1921 for like
Did
five
you look at the
bucks.
Elder Scrolls Skyrim official strategy guide? Is that what you looked up just now?
Well, no, I'm looking at Fallout 4 Game of the Year Prima official guide.
I've got the Skyrim strategy guide here, and I'm on Amazon the UK version,
mm,
and it's literally for a paperback it's £15.55,
that's about
and for the hard
$30 or so for
yeah, and for the
Skyrim. You said, or
hardcover
for Fallout 4?
Skyrim, and then for a hardcover is 36.44.
Wow.
Yeah.
Skyrim official game guide. Let me just double check. Yes,
I
the Elder
wonder.
Scrolls 5 Skyrim Legendary Edition, Legendary Standard Edition Prime official game guide is what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's going for 100 bucks Canadian, so that's about £50.
Damn. I can get it cheaper here.
Yeah, or I can
Much
get
cheaper.
I mean, there's different versions. There's like the revised and expanded official pack, which is actually cheaper. The revised version is cheaper. That's funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I may not be seen. Do you
it's
think anyone in chat got any questions about it? Do you think?
Yes, chat.
If
Feel free to join in on the conversation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just gonna be me and Boilie talking out for hours on the same topic.
Because they're talking the last Argonian and Catrick. Is it Catrick? I
yeah,
may not be
Catrick. Yeah.
seeing country word out like that. That
um, but yeah, I think that's one of the big problems in Canada is the book prices that we have. I think we have like an inflation on like book prices
Yeah.
on like every book. Like you because you always see the U.S. price listed and then the Canadian price, and even if you factor out the exchange rate, it's still cheaper in the States. Even for like Canadian made books or something, or even like university textbooks. I once had like a textbook that was supposed to be like $100. I paid like I think it was 10 or $15 for like an edition before that, and like edition changes are very much just like chapters being rejigged. So like chapter 3 would be renamed to like chapter 5, and then that's a new edition of the book, and they can charge like 20 more bucks for the book.
Yeah. It's just mad I can get much cheaper than you, and it's the
Oh,
same
it's
thing.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and then I bought my I literally bought a 19. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Like I bought a world atlas from like almost 100 years ago for next to nothing. Like it was completely ridiculous how I can get an almost 100-year-old atlas for like $5 or $7, and yet I can't get like a modern book for that price.
I don't know. It's just crazy.
Like,
welcome to our society.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name of the stupid thing. I don't even remember my password for the stupid website. I'm just like, ugh. Because I'm genuinely, I can't remember.
I got the 484 Boat Dweller Survival Guide, and that here is for paperback £11.61.
Wow.
Yeah, well, actually that's Amazon Prime. That's what Amazon Prime. So you get
Yeah,
that the
I have
next day as
Amazon
well.
Prime as well.
Yeah, but if you're not paying off Amazon Prime, someone is selling one brand new for £4 five at 9 pence, and for a hardcover is £18.43.
mm. See, funny enough,
Pretty cheap.
I was able to buy Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Part 1 and 2 with the Special Rehearsal Edition script book.
Yeah,
I bought it from a book a place in Gloucester in the UK, and I paid, including shipping, $7, which is like,
yeah. It's just
I don't know,
insane.
like 10 Canadian or something, a little more. Like that's, oh, here it is. It's called the Daily Mirror Atlas of the World. I paid, okay, so the book itself was $4 US, and then it was like 5 shipping, so I ended up paying $10 US. That's about like
Yeah,
16, $17 for a
around the
100-year-old
same.
atlas. Like this atlas was made like when Ireland was like still part of the UK. Like
Yeah,
Vatican City doesn't exist in this map. Like this, is how old this book is.
yeah.
And I'm like, I
Miranda
can.
says I'm just awkward.
No, those guys are awesome. They're part of the Glitched family. They're part of a gaming family that's based out of Texas. They're awesome people. Anyone watching the
Oh, cool.
playback, click on their channel names and subscribe to them and look at the glitch. Actually, I should have put the damn it. I should have put
Yeah, Miranda says
the
she's awkward.
glitch
She's
link
like,
in
yeah,
there.
that's me. That's me. I'm literally awkward.
I'm just like, damn. I
I think very.
put Boilee's link in the description, but I didn't put the glitched links, and I don't think I can change that midstream because that would be weird.
That's neglect plant.
I'm new to streaming.
You've abandoned them.
Actually,
Thanks.
wait,
You're
can't I
awesome too.
just? Can I not just? I can just put it in chat. I don't even need to worry about
See, there's one more person, Plant, that thinks you're awesome.
who think what.
Miranda.
I'm not even paying
Miranda.
attention.
Miranda. Oh, see, Miranda. She's not
I'm
even
trying to
paying
do something.
attention.
Oh no, Miranda's saying you're awesome.
Oh no, you've got the wrong guy. You must be talking about the wrong guy.
See, I don't want to switch. Okay, share. That's what I want to do. Copy link.
Well, I think this Fallout 76.
I'll link to their latest
Can
Resident
you just chuck
Evil
it in chat?
video.
You
So
could just chuck it in chat, I think.
So anybody who's watching the playback can click on that link and they can go see Glitch's latest video. That's for the playback people. It's not for the live people because all the live people have already seen the video, or they should have
There you
seen the
go.
live video.
I've literally just subbed. I've subbed to their channel. That's one more sub.
Nice. They have Fallout Nuka-Cola checkers. That actually makes me happy.
Done.
That's actually really cool.
I was referring to Plant, but the other guys also awesome.
Oh my goodness, Miranda, you're too sweet.
See, Plenty. I need to talk about you.
Fallout chess is being sold for $90.
Fallout chess, $90.
Fallout chess, and
I got that in my
and the
I've
little
got a comic
figurines
book
are
store.
like the little figurines are
I've
basically
got a
like
comic book store.
Brotherhood of Steel. There's ghouls. There's like here it is. Lone Wanderer. Dogmeat is the queen. Oh, that's cute. Power Armor, Mr. Handy, Boss Scribe, and then Vault Dwellers. And then on the enemy side, there's a Super Mutant Master, Deathclaw, Sentrybot, Protectron, Glowing One, and then Raiders. That's actually quite cute.
How much did you say that was?
$90. So that's about 45 to 50 pounds.
That's insane. In my local comic book store, they've actually got that brand new. They've got about what four lots of those, and it's actually only $24.99.
Oh.
So that's around about 50. I think that's about the same.
Lance got me a Nuka-Cola Quantum bottle that lives up. That's really. They actually sold, or they actually started making Nuka-Cola Quantum in. I don't know if you guys have Jones, in the UK or in America, but in Canada we have a brand called Jones, and they actually made a Nuka-Cola Quantum.
Yeah, but wasn't that another thing with Fallout 76? Didn't they hire that company to do that? Is it Nuka-Cola rum?
No, Nuka-Cola Dark, and that was supposed to be a rum infused. The concept is really nice. I like a rum flavored Coke.
Yeah, but it was plastic. You take
it was a plastic bottle. I thought it was supposed to be glass, but it turned out to be plastic bottle. I'm like, what is this?
But the bottle inside that comes.
Oh yeah, no, it was really terrible. Yeah, Nuka Dark
Nuka
really
Dark
was bad.
apparently
Like
bad.
it was not good. It was a PR night. Excuse me, it was a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to hype it up, and then they're just trying to recover, and they're just digging their hole deeper. So that's
Oh, or
essentially what they're
especially
doing.
when they tried to release that really ugly jacket.
Oh god,
That
damn.
really, it was really,
Yeah,
really
I've
ugly.
seen it. Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Can I?
it's more or less cringe word. Yeah, but I reckon I'm not saying that Fallout 76 is completely dead, but I think they're going to like pour No
I'm
Man's Sky.
surprised
So
that it's
obviously when
not
that
dead
game,
yet because I would have killed it.
yeah, but like No Man's Sky came out, I can remember watching the trailers, and that was like you can go to any planet, you could interact with other people online, you can see what they do in real time and
Oh
all,
yeah, like there's
all
well, I
these
haven't played
creatures
it
and
in a while, but I
species.
used to
The
play
game
Star
comes
Trek
out,
Online, and you can now fly.
yeah,
They've actually released they're still releasing new chapters that are still completely free. You don't have to pay for them, and you can now travel across all four quadrants of the galaxy. So you can go to the Gamma Quadrant, you can go to the Alpha and Beta Quadrant, and you can go
yeah,
to um the Delta parts of the Delta Quadrant. Let
yeah.
me. Can I?
Yeah, but No Man, the developers of No Man's Sky, they fixed it now. I think after 2 years, they've actually the stuff that they said they were going to put in the game in the first place is now in the game. But it's the same them.
Yeah,
That's their fan base. They left.
there we go.
You could, yeah. It's technically false advertising.
So this is the 76 jacket that they released. Like I can tell you right now, it looks really hideous. Like it looks like it's plasticized.
Holy shit! It looks like it's just being like stitched together with random
Like
materials in
I'm not even
your
kidding.
basement.
That's not gonna happen. I want to try and zoom in a bit without it looking really, but
That looks terrible. I wouldn't even wear that like for cosplay
look
purposes.
at you can't see my mouse cursor, but
No,
it's like I
no,
use my mouse cursor to point things out, but you won't see it. But it
no.
looks really terrible.
It looks
Like
cheap. It looks cheap.
it
It looks
looks
real cheap.
really really cheap. Like
They're probably
I don't know
charging you
how they're
like
getting away with that, but it's just
it looks crap. Like
it
personally, I
really
wouldn't
does
buy
look
that.
terrible.
Like I've wore leather jackets and they're real leather. That literally just it doesn't even look. It looks plastic. It looks so badly.
Reset the image
It
on
looks
the
like
fly. Isn't this professionalism? There we go. Oops. There we
it just
go.
looks like something they just like well would just put out like last minute kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
totally
that.
like last minute. Let me
Yeah.
76.
It's like that kind of words out. The developers of Assassin's Creed Ubisoft, they are a good company, but they've been into other controversies with their games. And
Oh
always
yeah.
funny
Oh,
if
I
you
mean,
look
I
at
think every company has had that. Honestly, like
yeah,
I'm not. I don't think
yeah,
anyone's
yeah, but
immune to issues like that.
look at Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs, the first one, when that trailer got released, I was like, you know what, that game looks essentially Assassin's Creed in present day. But I was like, all right,
Yeah.
it looks brilliant. Like it looked beautiful. Like oh look at the atmosphere. It looks nice. Game shit. It's
Yeah.
not a bad game, but then it's not what they said it quite was. Like the graphics, for instance, it was just downgraded. And people's like, well, that's because it's running on Xbox 360 and PS3,
Oh yeah.
and then Xbox One. The graphics wouldn't. They should have been upscaled. They were slightly upscaled, but not too much. And then the PC is pretty much the PC, and then people's like, well, it looks of it in the trailers. They've literally used PC to advertise it as what it is. And then obviously you got the modern community. The modern community comes out, and then he finds like files within the data files. And he's
Yeah.
like, they for some reason the files are there, but they've just disabled them. So they've literally put the files in the game to just show it E3 and everything, and then just decided on the retail copy just
Oh
to
yeah.
disable them.
Oh
So
yeah.
literally, what the modder done, he's literally not modded the game or anything. He said all I've done is just added a script, so it basically just reactivates settings they disabled, and it literally looks just like the E3 trailer. And I was like, so you're telling me I bought the PS4 version, but the settings are there, but I'm just unable to, like activate them. I'm unable to access them. So you're telling me that my game could look better and play better, but for some reason They thought
Remember
it'd be
back in the
appropriate
day when you
to.
bought a video game and you actually got the full game?
Yeah, remember like I say cheat codes. But cheat codes back in the day, I can remember when I used to have to travel to my like local library just to get like Grand Theft Auto cheat codes.
Oh yeah.
Cheat codes, cheat codes of today is essentially microtransactions, credit card.
Yep. Credit
That's,
cards. The just
that's the
for
equivalent.
those who are unaware, this is the official Vault 76. Well, I guess Vault 76, Fallout 76 ugly sweater. So this is the ugly jumper. I wanted to grab another image, but for some reason it downloaded the first one, not the second one. So this is only the front of the sweater. I will admit, that is an ugly sweater.
That don't look too bad if you squint it. If you squint your eyes, it don't look too bad.
Or if you're just like slightly intoxicated, it's just like, oh, that's not too bad. I mean, to be fair though, I actually do like the snowflake border on the bottom. I actually do like the look of that, but like the rest of it, like, I would post the other image, but then it's not going to give me the image I want. But it's like it's actually not.
If you want to dress up like a traffic king, I suppose.
Oh like, it's
somewhere along those lines.
Well, I mean, it is literally an ugly sweater, so it's
No, it is. It's
literally supposed to be ugly, and I just make it ugly by doing this.
Did they try going like with like a Christmas theme on it? But failed miserably.
I could be doing this a lot smarter if I actually set up my OBS properly, but
Yeah, but that's what I like. That's what I said. Ubisoft, they're a good company, but they've had their controversies. Like they're notoriously well known for downscaling their graphics. Like Tom Clancy, when that came out, it looked beautiful. The physics looked beautiful. Retail copy comes out, and it's like, where's all the effects? The game, where's all the like special effects? Where's all the? And they just bumped it right down. But no one knows why they do that. Obviously, it's to make it look better for like presentation. But the simple fact is, when he like that guy with the watchdogs, when he activated the settings, he goes, it didn't actually affect any performance. It was files in the, and for some reason just disabled them. Yeah. And it works. Like they've done it with Far Cry 5. That's like one of their latest games, obviously before New Dawn. That when the trailer came out, looks nice. It is a beautiful game. I played it on PS4. It's still a nice game. Yeah. And then you compare it to the trailer. They've just got a thing for Bethesda's got a thing for lying, and Ubisoft's got a thing for just for some reason we're just gonna not do this now and we're gonna downgrade it. But it's like. Yeah. But I can't say that it's their latest Assassin's Creed game, Odyssey. It is a good game. Some people that's got a fair share of controversy because obviously it's a good game, but if you've not played other Assassin's Creed game, then you probably wouldn't know because obviously I've played every single Assassin's Creed game, number one, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey it definitely doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game in that sense because obviously they've changed that. They've not changed the controls for the worst. It do look better because obviously playing from Assassin's Creed 1 all the way up until Assassin's Creed, say, Rogue or Unity, it's the same kind of fighting. It's the same kind of fighting scheme. Yeah. And it is getting quite boring. It's literally just essentially all you're doing is just button mashing. So they changed it up, but people are saying that it's too long, the game's too hard, and it's like. But then you're going to be complaining if we give you a real shit game. And then for some reason, on a forum I was on, I used Fallout 76 as an example. It was like, would you rather have an Assassin's Creed game full of content take you more than 10 hours to complete? Or would you have something like Fallout 76 where it's just basically the storyline's mediocre, is not so good. And if you can play it, that's if you can bloody connect.
If you can connect. So I've thrown up an image of the Power Armor edition of Fallout 76. So this is what cost $200 or something. This was really expensive. Yeah. And this is what you were supposed to get. So you're supposed to get a Canvas West Tech duffel bag, which I mean I don't even like the look of it in the picture. So the real thing was nonsensical garbage.
The Power Armor helmet looks nice on the map. The bag looks okay, but then.
I like the concept of the glow in the dark map, and I like the helmet, and I mean the figurines. I guess you could be okay, but and then having the bonus items, I guess, and then the steel case. Yeah. But I don't know why. I guess you want a bag to carry the helmet in, but does the helmet even fit in the bag? I don't even know.
Well, the helmet is supposed to fit in the bag, but obviously the final product that people got was a shitty little nylon bag.
It was garbage. Absolute
Yeah, it
garbage.
was an iron back. It's like literally you can make them for you could probably make them for like $2.
Oh yeah,
You could probably
absolutely. And
yeah,
it's
and
like, oh,
it's
there's
just
a shortage of canvas. I'd like to point out for a fact, though, and you
well,
guys
nobody
can't see
fucking
this because I don't have a camera. I bought ink on the internet recently from a company it's based out of Canada. It's actually based out of Montreal. And they were having a special where if I buy ink, then I can get a free canvas bag. So I have in my bedroom right now a shopping bag made out of a canvas material, and I felt it, and that is high quality stuff. Like, granted, they only sell the bag for like $4 or $5, so it's not like a premium bag, but like the canvas material on a bag feels nice. So don't tell me that
yeah
there's a shortage of canvas material, because there's not. Because I can
they're
buy
kind
that stuff
they're
for four
kind of pointless.
bucks. Like, no,
Yeah, but they're
get
just
out of town.
it's just crap. It's just terrible. Another thing, when I first seen it, obviously they'd done the launch trailer, and then also they'd done another trailer.
Oh
From that
yeah.
trailer, I knew straight away this game's going to be shit. One is online, and like when I first seen a super mutant, I was like, "Why are you in the game?" That was my first thing. Like, why are you in the game? Then obviously the brothers, you didn't physically see the brothers still, but if you've got like a keen eye like me, I literally analyze things.
Yeah.
And like on one of the barrier, like the barricades, there was a brothers still logo. I was like, oh the. I was like, hold on, this game do take place 20 years after. I think it's like 20 years after the bombs fell. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they should even be they're non-existent in the Fallout timeline. At that particular time, they weren't apparent because obviously Frank Horrigan was the leader of the Enclave, created the FEV, like you got the FEV virus.
Yeah.
Superman shouldn't be there in the first place. And then on with the brothers still was a military platoon, and they were
Mm-hmm.
at the time of the Fallout 76 takes place. They were trapped in a bunker. They haven't
Yeah.
even formed into the brothers still yet. So it's just like, so what are they going to do with this, and how are they going to do this? And I'll say, you know what they did, don't you? That's essentially what they did. They just retconned
Mm-hmm.
it just so they can try and push the game. And it's
So
like,
we do have questions in the chat if we want to allow them some screen time. So Katrick asks, do you think 76 could become good? So is there potential for it to become a good game?
I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. What do you think, Plant?
I would like to say yes. I'd like to think that there is a chance for it to become good if, and see, this is the dilemma, because they sold it on the fact that they're the only players that would be the only human players in the game would be actual human beings, and they really cut off their foot
Yeah,
when they said that, because then that takes out the potential to add NPCs, because then basically Bethesda lied. But I mean, they've already
yeah,
lied many times. I think
yeah.
I think my answer is that 76 is not going to become good, but I think if Bethesda comes out with a a new style of multiplayer game, uh, maybe a Fallout 4 multiplayer game, with
Yeah,
keeping the NPCs, keeping with the less glitchy stuff, I think is possible. But to make it good requires a lot. Like, you'd have to take down the game, and then bring it back up like 2 years later, because that needs a lot of work. And
yeah.
for a company to do that would be very catastrophic, because well, I mean, people already know it's a failure, but like it's pouring gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
So
It's essentially what it
I think that 76 is, I hate to say it's beyond repair, but I really
is.
do feel that it is beyond repair.
Yeah. Well, that's that. Um, I'm cutting in. Do you want to continue, or should
No,
I
no, you go ahead, and
answer?
I finished my
Yeah,
point.
that's all I don't want to cut in. Just like reading, I'm cutting you up here. And no, yeah. Do you think? I'm pretty much with you on that, but I don't reckon it's dead. I don't think it's like just dead in the water. I don't think it's going to become good. I do reckon it's going to become playable. It's going to become playable. Like people are
Yeah.
saying it is now playable, but I reckon like they should. I reckon like the bugs and glitches are fixed, but I reckon at the time when like you had all that just everything going on at once, I reckon they should have just shut the servers down or reboot the servers. But they're releasing free DLC now. And also, a lot of people said it is playable now, but I'm just like, Yeah, but the story was like pretty much on its ass. Like pretty much, it was terrible. Like literally, they've added DLC to expand upon the DLC on the story, but it may be good. It may be good, but do I reckon the boat sailed far too far down the river? I reckon it has. I reckon it's done. But I think they've got a small handful of like fans left, but nothing compared to when, like, they've lost well, not being fun, like I said just now, back onto the point just now when I said about Super Mutants Bro still, when they retconned a lot of things, they slapped a lot of their all-time fans, including people like me, in the face, and they lost a lot of respect. It's like you can't just retcon it, because added retcon things for this game. The events are like, you've played for like 3 New Vegas, haven't you?
I
Events
have it on
from
my. I bought it from Steam. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, events from those games don't count, and if they do, they contradict the timeline. And they only done that just basically for a failure of a game. I'm like, personally, to me, from Fallout 1 all the way up until Fallout New Vegas, that's the timeline. I class Fallout 76 part of a different like universe
Well,
timeline.
but
I just do.
and this is the issue, is that technically, this is nitpicking, but technically Fallout New Vegas is a spin-off. It's not technically
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of the canonical story.
No.
But I think you make a really good point, because if you look at I'll use Star Trek as an example, because I'm a very big Star Trek fan. So
I can't relate.
oh god, I can't remember what year it came out, but the latest Star Trek film, not the reboot series, because that's not a reboot series, but the one with
Was
Patrick
that a
Stewart.
reboot
It
series?
was Star Trek Nemesis, I think it was, and that was like
Oh, I don't know.
2002. Like, that was a while ago. That was the last
Yeah.
Star Trek film that ever came out. That done, full stop, done. These new films that have come out from I think it's J.J. Abrams or something,
Yeah.
with like the rebooted thing where it's like the story is like, oh, Spock comes from the future and Vulcan gets destroyed. That's not canonical at all. That is parallel universe. That is alternate universe story. So it's not actual Star Trek, because it's not part of the canon, because it didn't actually occur. Um,
No.
but the
No, I could.
problem is that that Star Trek, not the Patrick Stewart Star Trek that we all know, but that new Star Trek is starting to seep into um, the canon, because we have Star Trek Online, which is, according to CBS, because CBS now owns. I think it owns Paramount, which owns Star Trek or something like that. They
Yeah.
actually came out and said that
Like,
Star Trek Online is now canonical, because it
yeah.
happens like 10 or 20 years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis. Um, so like Star Trek Online is now canonical. It's a part of this. It's officially part of the story. But we have this issue of this new Star Trek is starting to seep into the old, and it really pisses me off, because it's
I
not
don't want that.
real Star Trek. It's fake Star Trek. It's
No.
what it is. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at even playing mobile games where it's showing me this alternate universe nonsense. I'm like, this is not the Star Trek. The Star Trek that I know is Kirk, Picard, Cisco, Janeway, and you can also argue Archer. I was okay with Star Trek Enterprise that came out in like the early 2000s. I like the idea of exploring pre-Federation Earth, but like they really
Yeah.
rushed that stuff, and they got canceled after 3 seasons. And now
I
you
think
have
I
Star
watched
Trek
one of
Discovery,
that.
which I can't even watch, because like it's all CBS access and that's not available in Canada. So like I can't even watch Star Trek Discovery. I actually managed to watch. I was able to watch Star Trek Discovery while I was in Europe. Of all places, I was
Yeah.
able to watch it while I was in like Europe, and I watched the first season and I actually got into it. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I like it, but it's not.
Yeah, but no,
I
that's
feel
what I
like
mean.
it's
How you
not
feel about
canonical,
it,
because
how
it.
it is.
I don't know where it fits, and like the
Yeah,
style of Star
that's
Trek
me.
Discovery doesn't make any sense. Sorry, I'm gonna keep on talking over you.
No, no, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. No, I'm just saying, like, how you feel about Star Trek. That's literally for like 76. Like, where does it fit in? Like, where does it fit?
Yeah, like
Where's the
76 to
place?
me, like, and the one big thing of 76 that does not make sense to me is where did the people go? How did they disappear? Why is it that there are
They must got
absolutely no
vaporized when the
human
Thanos snap.
beings in an entire state of West Virginia, when there are plenty of other people in even the surrounding states? Like, to
Yeah, I think that's
me,
what done it with that game was
it doesn't make
NPCs. I
sense.
think that's the killer.
Mhm.
I think that's what is the killer was the NPC, the lack of NPCs. Personally,
Yeah, like to me, the
And
lack of NPCs just it doesn't make sense in a game like Fallout. Like, and like there are attempts to explain it through like the Scorch Beast. Like that's nonsense.
yeah, it's
Like you have like
it's just laughable.
why is there no Scorch Beast in Washington D.C. where there are like tons of nukes? You know,
You know what? That's what I thought.
it wasn't just a single nuke that dropped in. Like there weren't even nukes dropped in West Virginia, as far as I know. It was
Yeah,
literally
the
like
Scotsman,
Washington
they've
D.C.,
got
New York,
roots, they've
Boston.
got
Like,
wings. If they wanted to fly across states, they probably could. I'm not being funny. They probably could.
yeah, but
You know,
like,
they
why
could.
aren't we seeing Scorch Beasts in the later years of Fallout? Like, I refuse to believe that they went extinct over 200 years,
Yeah.
because that doesn't happen for any animal species. You know, an animal
If anything,
species
they
has
adapt and
existed
evolve.
for thousands of years. They don't just disappear in a span of 200 years because they're not
No,
being.
they evolve.
I mean,
No.
unless if they're like being hunted down to extinction, then that's possible. But even then, like
No
for
one's got time to be hunting Scorch Beasts, have they? In the Fallout universe, come on.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Um,
That's what I mean. It's stupid.
but
Um,
let's maybe a final point, because I would like to move on to we'll move on to
Miranda's.
other chat topics, and then we can move on to other topics. So
Yeah,
any final thoughts on the 76 becoming good, or we can move on to the next question?
I'm. I just. I reckon it. I don't reckon it's going to become good. I reckon it's going to become playable. That's pretty much on that
Yeah.
question. That's pretty much it. You go on to
Uh,
the next one if you want. It's up to you. You do you.
yeah. So Miranda asks, or well, she asked two questions. We'll start with the first one because we'll just go in order. What are your speculations for Elder Scrolls 6? So you can start off with if you like.
Fallout 76.
No, Elder Scrolls
Well.
6.
Oh, sorry, Miranda. Sorry, plan. Yeah. Elder Scrolls 6. Well, that is a difficult question. I do have hope because obviously it's their main flag title. The Elder Scrolls is their main flag title, but with obviously the controversial Fallout 76. See, Fallout 76 pretty much ties into their other games because obviously they're going to be using the engine from Fallout 76 in Elder Scrolls 6, which is like I don't know if that's a blessing or a sin at the same time. I don't know because you know that engine is it's old. They need to get rid of it and like you know use a new engine. And obviously, if like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be riddled with the same bugs we've seen in previous games, and if it's being rushed as well, I don't reckon like personally I won't go and buy it. Like I'm with the other Elder Scrolls, I went out and bought them more or less as they came out. With this one, I think I'm gonna give it at least a month or two and wait for the reviews and that to come out, see if it's good. But I'm very skeptical because like obviously the bomb of Fallout 76. I hope they just don't rush it out. Like obviously, I think it's going to come out in 2021. I hope it doesn't. If it comes out before then, I'm probably going to put it off because obviously to me that just screams like we're just trying to get this out to make back revenue because obviously that's where they're going. Like they contradicted themselves saying that EA just fills their games with like microtransactions. They've done it with Fallout 76. I just don't want that going into the Elder Scrolls games. Elder Scrolls don't need microtransactions. We've already bloody got enough of them on this Creation Club on Skyrim, and most of those, some of them are okay, but I don't want them fully implemented on a full scale because then I reckon that will just ruin it. We don't need when you add microtransactions to any game, ruins it because it becomes not just for like the fan base, it's about the money. Like game developers say, it's not about the money. It's like well, it's going to be a little bit about the money. You want to earn a bit of money, but then when all their time and effort goes into basically making sure the microtransactions go through and they're earning enough of that, every company's done it. Rockstar's done it with GTA 5. That game should have had a single player DLC. They're making a killing off GTA Online. That's why that game never get done a single player DLC, and that's the simple fact. But I don't want them doing that with Elder Scrolls 6 because also Elder Scrolls Skyrim got good DLCs. Her for DLC was it was okay. I couldn't really call it a DLC, more of an add-on that you know, just like a player him add-on. But I did enjoy the Dawnguard and the Dragonborn DLC. But I don't want them just like with Elder Scrolls 6 rushing the game and then because the game's like is okay but not good, then rush out the DLCs and is well not worth the purchase. And then we don't really need to get started on like how many times they're going to remaster that thing just to try and milk that because they've pretty much milked Skyrim at this point. Not complaining that Skyrim's not a good game. Skyrim is a good game, but they've milked because of the failures with Flight 76. They've acted. Skyrim. Like that things came out on every single console. You know what I mean? It's just stupid. But yeah, that I do have hope for it, but then I do like with their like the limitations of their engine that they're going to be using. I do I do I do have a little bit of doubt, because I don't really want them using that engine, but that's just them. They're just trying to, I don't know what they're doing. It's hard to like anticipate. Just got to kind of wait and see. But I do have a little bit of hope. But with the also recent events of the previous games, you can't help but have doubt on it. Can't you? I don't know if I covered anything. You want to have a shot on that?
Yeah, no.
That's pretty much me on that.
I basically agree with what you said. I'm very much more of a skeptic, especially with what they've done with Fallout 76. I'm going to almost guarantee that there are going to be microtransactions in Elder Scrolls 6. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Because it's the only franchise that I can think of that has not had microtransactions, other than like, I guess you could argue the Creation Club is technically microtransactions, but
Yeah, they're quite
with the way the games are going these days, microtransactions are a given. What I would like to see in Elder Scrolls 6 is settlement building. I would like to have a Fallout 4 settlement building put into Skyrim, because I would love to create my own fort out of like a ruined castle or even like an empty plot of land. I would love to like raise my own little army and try to like have an insurrection to like take over like a plot of land or something, or like a hold or something, become like a Jarl of a hold. I think that would be really interesting. But I'm very concerned that Bethesda is also going to half-ass Elder Scrolls 6, simply because of the way that they've treated Fallout 76. I really feel they're not going to learn their lesson, because it's going to take a few catastrophes for Bethesda to learn their lesson, or whoever's developing the game to learn their lessons, and they're going to screw up. I'm almost certain of it nowadays, because it's so commonplace.
Yeah.
I hate to be so cynical, but honestly, I can't get Elder Scrolls 6 on my computer anyway, because I can barely run Elder Scrolls 5. So with the increased graphics, I will not be able to get 6 on my laptop unless I get like a new computer, or if I get a console. But I'm very, very concerned with how like the systems, there's plenty to improve. Like what are they going to do story wise with Elder Scrolls 6? I don't know. But I am curious to see. And I mean, like I do this with every video game. I literally watch people play the game first before buying anything. I never buy a video game solely by its merits or by its name or by whatever. I have to see people use it. Even The Sims 4, because I'm a very much a big Sims fan. Like I played the original Sims games. I played Sims 2 and 3, and so when 4 came out, I didn't buy Sims 4 right away. I watched other people play it first, because I want to know what the UI is going to look like. I want to know what the Sims are going to look like. I want to know what's in the game, what's not in the game. And when I heard that they didn't have diving boards in the base game when it first came out, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like,
wasn't that like a microtransaction? I think I heard about that. Like swimming pools and everything.
They patched it in eventually.
Yeah, because I heard like I think Sims 3, like to have a swimming pool in your house.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like
part of the microtransaction. No pools in Sims 4. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's like every single classic way to like kill your Sims is by swimming pool.
Yeah, I just used to build a pool around it.
Like, really?
Yeah, it's just, well, that's just stupid. Do you mind me expanding upon what you just said a little bit?
No, go for
with it. With the building, because you said you wanted the building in like the newer schools. I would, but then I wouldn't, because also in the Fallout 4, I do like the base building. I know it's funny. Like I think you've seen a couple of my creations.
Oh yeah.
I've built quite big creations. Like it's very buggy. It's very buggy, but you can work around. Like it's not buggy to the point where you're like, that's it, I'm done. If you've got patience, and I like that. Not funny in Fallout 4, that's probably one of my like the one of the features I actually do like, which is the settlement building. I'm not funny. If you look at my settlements, if I booted up my game now, if I have all the settlements, I think I've built 16 of them fully, and they're fully up and running and complex. I like that. I like that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Could they implement that into an Elder Scrolls game? I reckon they can, but it'd be limited.
No, it's
They
not a
would limit
question of
it.
if. No, it's not a question of could. It's a question of if.
Yeah, I reckon they could, but
they
I
can.
reckon they should leave it out of the base game. Personally, to me, leave it out of the base game. Give you enough time to play, the story and everything, and then they will more likely do this, knowing how they're going. They will more likely do this. Then, because obviously Skyrim had the Hearthfire DLC, wouldn't it? Like I said, I class that as an add-on.
You know what?
It was
make
good,
settlement building a DLC pack. Make an
yeah,
expansion
that's what I was
pack.
about to get onto. Yeah, make it the equivalent of a Hearthfire. Hearthfire DLC was good. I reckon it should have been more though, like a little bit more expansive, because there's mods that actually improve the Hearthfire DLC, gives you more variety and everything. But I reckon they should integrate, let give a year ago, and then give enough time for people to play the storyline. Because obviously, the only trouble with it is if you build a settlement and it kind of interferes with the world space and like missions. Because 484, there's one thing with 484, the game don't really force you to adventure around the map so much. Like, obviously, you've not really played 484, have you? But
no, I've only watched people play it.
Yeah, I've played it endlessly, and you pretty much just come out of the vault and literally you can literally travel straight to Diamond City, talk to bloody that, and literally just go from place to place. And sometimes you just skip.
Yeah,
it does it. The missions don't take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The missions don't take you around the map. They pretty much you visit the same area locations. Yeah. Where with the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, I think it made you travel. Like I can remember when I had to travel to
If you modded out the beginning though, you could get around that. But no, I agree. The Elder Scrolls actually forces you to play the story in the beginning.
Yeah. Like I can remember when I first went. See, I would have loved if they add a base building in Skyrim. There is mods for it, but the mods are like kind of they're buggy at best. Like there's one I've got at the moment, and it's okay, but it's not good. Like it's a bug. Like there's a bug at the moment. You place your stuff down. When you save your game, you come back. It's not there. Like it don't save in the data files of the save game.
Yeah.
But I would love to have that building concept in Skyrim, because Blackreach. The first time I ever played Skyrim, I was like, "Holy shit! This is a nice interior cell."
Yeah.
And I would love to build somewhere in a location like that. Like if they,
Hearthfire is nice. I like building the houses there, but they're very static.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. There is mods that actually let you improve stuff like that, because they are very static. You know what I mean? But they're quite generic as well. Like you can pretty much just build the same house everywhere.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to, like I only built the one in Volkreef. I in one of my safe games I did build one in the Hallmarks hold, but I just like the Volkreef one because obviously it's in the forest. I'm more of like that kind of like location. But no, I can see it going into Elder Scrolls, but as a DLC. I don't reckon they would include it in base game, because
I think that's probably be a good
probably be a sell point.
That's the way for Bethesda. If you're watching this, that's the way to make money. Make it a DLC.
Yeah, that's like
people would buy it. Absolutely.
People like it's a selling point. But I'm not saying Elder Scrolls not good. I'm pretty sure it's going to be set in High Rock, and one of the locations I've always wanted to visit in Elder Scrolls, I told you earlier on, was Somerset Isles. I think that's how you pronounce it, and the High Rock. Because there's a lot of stuff on Morrowind and everything, but you don't really hear much on the topics of High Rock. All you know is a area full of kings. As we know, it's not like Skyrim. You've got Jarls and everything. It's not a thing like that, but it's kings, but it's imperial. I would love that concept, but personally, I reckon when it comes to the Elder Scrolls franchise, they never fail. They don't fail with the world space. It's always vibrant. It's always nice, and there's always somewhere to go. I don't think they failed in that concept. I reckon the game will look beautiful.
Oh yeah,
but
no doubt.
It will be backed up by the engine's limitation. And then if you're in 2021, the PS5 is going to be coming out. You got the PS5. You got to try and compare it to other games. That you try not to, but you have to compare it to other games. To be fair, I don't think their engine is basically standing up to the test of time.
No.
Look at Fallout 76. That's evidential enough. They could make that game so much more, but personally, I don't. I reckon it's going to have its
I think they'll create a new engine for that, though.
No, I don't. No, they've said they're using the Fallout 76 engine.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, no, because obviously Starfield is their other IP. They've made another IP, Starfield, and they recently said they're going to be using the engine they've used in Fallout 4.
Oh damn!
And that in this, because obviously that engine they've been using back back in the day before the 2000s. They've just basically rebranded it a couple times and renewed it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not saying when you play Fallout 4, you can see the engine's limitations, because another thing, even without mods, the game crashes and there is a fair enough of bugs. But it always comes down to plant But they might say, well, there's like trash in the game, there's just stuff in the game, clutter. You're not really going to be paying attention to that when you're like playing the game, but it's like true. But then again, when you do pay attention, is it the textures plan are real low resolution. Like they said, this game's going to be HD. Certain parts of it's HD, but when you look at some ground textures plan, it's like PS2 resolution. It's terrible. Like the trash piles are low resolution. They're blurry textures.
Yeah.
I know it's just trash. Like come back down to the settlement, because that's one thing that did piss me off about Fallout 4. They said, right, with the new Fallout 4, there's going to be a settlement building feature, and it's like you can build whatever you want, be it how big you want.
Yeah.
Well, when the game came out, I bought the game. There's a limit to what you can build, so they lied on that basis. You can't build like to your heart's content. And what really annoys me, you can't build in your vision, because obviously in the settlements there's rubble and everything. But it's like Sanctuary. Let's use Sanctuary Hills for an example. The first place settlement you go to. There's stuff you can't there's just like simple things you can't scrap. Like in
Yeah, it's really weird.
I built in all the houses basically, but there's one particular house. There's like candles on the walls you can't scrap. There's mess on the floor you can't scrap. And then when you go in the hallway, there's like desks and there's like a cardboard and everything you just can't scrap.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's a nuisance, yeah, but
it's
you're trying to
selective scrapping.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's so simple that they could have coded in to get rid of. But it's like there's like rubble and everything on the floor. But when you're trying to place objects, you start to realize that, oh shit, the object's floating, and then it just turns out it's like the smallest bit of rubble. But it's like cause it's not it's
and
like
it just
a solid
looks
object.
like really tacky and just like
And then like people are like, well, you can technically. I used to pillar glitch quite a lot. I can pillar glitch things into like the ground and everything. That's all and well, but then you've still got the aesthetic of the rubble on the floor. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like I've managed to. There's an exploit, and they've not bothered to fix it since day one, where you can literally I find out the other day. But it's been there for about 5-6 patches apparently, where you can literally go to your settlement, because on one of my settlements, my sanctuary settlement it is, I've built it really big, but I couldn't build anymore because it came up, you've reached your limit. Like your limit, they told you would never have a limit, but Todd lied on that.
Yeah,
he lied on that. But I find an exploit where like all you got to do is basically just drop high value items in your settlement instead of scrapping them, just store them, and it basically resets your build limit. But like that's a good game and everything. But you can see the terrors of the engine. You can see where the engine starts struggling. Like in patches and everything. If you go into downtown Boston, you get lag. There don't have to be any NPCs, but you get the lag, and that's not just down to the fact that there's too many things on screen to process. It's down to the engine. It can't handle those things. Like they've built it should be able to handle it. But it can't. It's because of the engine. The engine wasn't built for that, and they've just basically tried to put little improvements and everything on it, but it's just not. It's just not going to. Personally, I reckon Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a good game, but do I reckon it's going to be brilliant? No.
Do I reckon it's going to screw up somehow?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Do I reckon it's going to be Elder Scrolls because obviously Elder Scrolls 6, Elder Scrolls 5, the Skyrim. I found that game has stood the time of test of time.
Exactly. That game was released
exactly,
9 years ago or something.
That's what I mean. Elder Scrolls 6, do I reckon? No. I reckon it's going to be a overhyped thing, and then it's just going to be like.
Absolutely.
But then again, I might be wrong. But what really annoys me with Bethesda, they've done it with Skyrim. They did it with Skyrim a lot. They've done the game, because there was a few glitches in Skyrim. Nothing game breaking, but there was a few.
Oh.
They've got this policy now let's make a game, fix it later, and if we can't fix it later,
Oh yeah.
our modding community will do it for us.
Yeah.
It'll be funny. Look at the unofficial patch for Skyrim. I have it. I think
I
it
use it
fixes
too.
it fixes over 3,000 bugs and glitches.
It's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
why isn't that fixed by the bloody? That's what I mean. They know that the modding community will fix it.
Oh yeah.
But then to me, that's just lazy.
They don't have to pay their tech teams.
Yeah. What's that? Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. I got this amazing mod that let me scrap most stuff. I love it so much. The creation engine is used. It's sold. Yeah, it is all. Oh yeah, I've got a mod for Fallout 4 as well. That basically I think it's called Scrap All Your Settlements, which is a pretty good mod. But it's such a if you look at the coding of it, it's such a simple code they plant. It's literally something that Bethesda could have perceived that they could have done that. But they just didn't bother. So it's just they got sloppy and lazy and like. I'm not being funny. Todd's got a reputation now. Like I don't know, for every YouTube video you watch of Todd Howard, they always overlay that song. You know, Little Lies, and all that. They always overlay that song because he's like, look at Oblivion. When that came out, I watched the E3 trailer. He said, oh no, sorry, not Oblivion, Fallout 3. He said there's going to be over 200 endings. How many endings is there, Plant, in Fallout 3? Yeah, there's two possible. It's two possible outcomes. Yeah, he overhyped. He said there's going to be like there's 200 endings. That turned out to be not true. He's been doing this shit for years. It's just now Fallout 76. The lie was too big, and he's not recovered. Yeah. What's that? Isn't Elder Scrolls 6 in Somerset? No.
No,
sorry,
it hasn't been confirmed.
sorry, I'm gabbling on.
I like to move on quickly to Miranda's next question, and then move on to the news, because I feel like we've been babbling on about 76 for like a long time.
Oh yeah, we've been babbling on too much, like literally,
So let's do this question and then have like a few sentences to explain why, because it's more of an opinion, and we don't have to talk about like capabilities or anything. But the question is, where would you like to see the next Fallout take place? So we can list our location and then sort of give our reasons why.
Sorry, I did see that question. I'll let you go first on this one, Plant.
So this is tough for me because I recognize that Fallout is a series that's based in America. I know it's a very American thing, and an American location would be very ideal. The thing for me, and this is sort of the lore side of me speaking, I want to see a Fallout game based in China. I would like to see what the Chinese side of the story is, because I want to know, like, we always hear about, China's, imperialistic, and China's, destroying America and destroying the West, and, blah, blah, blah. But I'm curious what life would have been like in a 2050s China. But I know that that's not going to happen. So if I have to pick a U.S. state, because like honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a Canadian Fallout to see what the annexation of Canada would have been like. But if I had to pick a location, because we already have Boston, Massachusetts, so that covers the New England. We have New Vegas, which covers sort of the west, like the southwestern portion of America. And there's also Fallout New California, which is like a mod add-on to New Vegas. So that's covered. We have Washington, D.C., and we have West Virginia. So I think it's a toss-up between three locations. New York City, and like that would include the boroughs of like Queens, a little bit of New Jersey, a little bit of, I think, Connecticut. I think you can cut into New York. So like focus on Manhattan Island, but then have like sort of the surrounding boroughs as part of that. I think that would be really fascinating. Choice number 2 would be somewhere in Texas, sort of near the Mexican border, just to see like what Mexico would have been like, and that sort of thing. And I think my third option would, I would genuinely like to see a Fallout game based in Alaska, because I know we had the Anchorage DLC from Fallout 3, but I would like to see sort of an engagement with Alaska after or even before the liberation, and like sort of and again, the Fallout 3 DLC exists, but I think that with a new engine and like a new design, I think you could go far. So those are my three choices, would be New York, Texas, or Alaska.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. Because you said you would love to see a European country. You said China. You would love to see China.
Yeah, like I'd like to see like China's perspective, because like Fallout is based off of a war between the United States and China. So the
Yeah.
Soviet Union is not in this; it's China. So I would like to see the Chinese perspective of Fallout. So like,
Yeah.
what would it be like to live in, a communist
See,
China from the 2050s? But I
I
mean,
was
that's
gonna
just
say like
me.
Russia, but like you said, Soviet era wasn't there. So because people are like saying like who like shot first, like is it Russia or is it China? Personally, I reckon it was in the
I think it was
Fallout
China that
universe.
shot first.
China. I'm pretty well. There's enough evidence in Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4 in terminals and just dialogue itself to support it was actually China. If you go
Mm-hmm.
to Fallout New Vegas, is it Black Mountain where you got all the Night King super mutants and that too?
Yeah, yeah,
If you if you look on the terminals not there, it all links up to terminals from Fallout 3 and then Fallout 4.
yeah.
Literally, there's a whole I try and link a YouTube video to it where it links it all up,
Mm.
and it pretty much suggests that um the missile silos in Vegas did try to because obviously you've got Mr. Heist and most of his missiles actually his defense systems actually managed to destroy some of the missiles, didn't they? Before they actually hit Vegas. That's why some of it's still well preserved. But
Mm-hmm.
it do suggest that they seen the incoming threat, but basically was just unable to do it, and it pointed heavily towards China. So
Yeah.
on that aspect, I would agree with you on if I wanted to see a European country, it probably would be China. So I'll agree with you on that one. I would have to see that.
Well, in a
But
European country, I'd be fascinated to be like,
yeah,
London or Paris or anything like that. But I would prefer like an Asian.
see, I wouldn't want it in London because obviously I live near London. I wouldn't really want
Yeah.
it in the
But I
UK.
mean, Americans are
Personally, I
also
wouldn't want it.
fascinated by the UK.
Yeah, yeah, I can see. I wouldn't really want because I'm not funny. Like I think Tom Clancy The Division is based in London. I think it is in the
Yeah,
UK.
or even like have a
Too much like
DLC
that.
to
Yeah,
Europe, or like a European
yeah.
DLC.
Personally, I would have loved Miami. I would have loved Miami,
Ooh,
but
no, but
that's already
wasn't there
yeah, yeah. There's some modders has already done that. That was literally one of the
someone's done that
locations.
already? I
Before,
think. But yeah, that's
yeah,
really
before
that would be
yeah,
an interesting idea, having like
yeah, before it became a mod,
Miami or
I wanted
Cuba or like that sort of.
yeah, I wanted Miami, and then obviously they came out with the full the mod. I was like, it's a Fallout 4 mod, and it's actually pretty well made. If you look at the trailers, it's pretty well made to be fair. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, so that like I wouldn't really know the next if because obviously Miami's getting done, it's in development, it's modders, it's not official, but I'm not being funny. I think modders has proved that they can build a game as well as Bethesda. So I would say, I don't know if you said it, I would say New York. I would say New York. Personally,
Yeah.
I would love to see that area.
I wanted to introduce just a quick fun fact, because we were talking about Nevada and the missile silos. Did you know that the American government owns 80% of Nevada's land?
No, I did not know. Damn.
80% of Nevada's land is federal land.
Damn. So what's the other 20%? Is that just like
20% is unowned, so it's like cities or like public areas, private land. But no, 80% of
shit?
and that's between like defense, national parks, all sorts of different, the Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Wildlife Service, Department of Defense, National Park Services. They own chunks of land in every single state. And according to the actual, like, the government produced a federal land ownership overview and data sheet with every single state. Nevada is 79.6% owned by the federal government in terms of
Damn.
land. So
That
there's about 70 million acres of land in Nevada. So 70,264,320. Federal acreage is 55 million. So there's only a difference of
you
like 20 million acres.
you know they've got some shady stuff that are building down in there then.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Like
But that must be quite.
Alaska, the federals in Alaska own 61% of the state. But there's like other states like Connecticut, they only own 0.3%. Like there's such a huge difference in states. Like there's some states that
Yeah.
like there's a huge chunk and majority of states. So like if you combine every single state, the federal government owns almost a quarter of the land. If you
That
combine
is insane.
all of the land together, it's
That is
huge.
insane. I didn't know that.
And that's the federal government. So that's like Congress and like the Department of
Yeah.
Defense and stuff. And it's like but yeah, no, sorry, I had to inject that little fun thing because like when we were talking about missile silos in Nevada, it's like,
No,
yeah,
no,
no, the
that's
federal
what I
government
didn't know
owns 80% of Nevada. Like it's
that. Jeez, yeah, that's surprising. I didn't even know. It's good to know that, but Jesus Christ,
it's a
that is a
lot of
lot.
land.
Yeah, that's not like a little handful.
No,
You
it's
know what I mean?
most of the state. So like people
Yeah.
can't build on federal land, you can't buy federal land, so you're
No,
stuck
you
with
can't.
the 20%. And like the thing is, that
Build in the
80%
remote
is
areas,
probably mostly
basically.
desert. So like that's where you
Yeah,
have your secret military bases and your mill cell silos and your testing grounds.
that's what I mean. They've got a lot of land there to build some shady stuff.
Oh
They would
yeah.
still. Like, they wouldn't have
Um
to think about it. We'll just build there. That do
so no, sorry,
that over there.
I really wanted to interject that point. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, you think New York would be a good
Yeah, New
option?
York. Yeah, because obviously I wanted Miami, but obviously that's being done now as a standalone mod. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, New York is good.
I think I would like to see New York. I think see the Statue of
Yeah.
Liberty in tatters.
Personally, where would you personally if they're doing? Because obviously Fallout 6, obviously forget Fallout 76. Let's just put that aside. Fallout 76. Let's not include that.
Mm.
If they let's say if Fallout 76 wasn't a thing, they didn't do West Virginia. Personally, I would have loved West Virginia to bring the Fallout 6 game, but with NPCs and everything. But let's just say Fallout 76 wasn't created. Where would you think they would do Fallout 76 next? Fallout 6 next? Personally, I don't reckon they would do New York or anything. I reckon they'd just do like I don't know where. Canada would be a good place. Like, I would
Yeah,
do
I'm.
Canada.
The thing is, I don't know if I would do West Virginia because like, what's in West Virginia? That's
Yeah,
iconic.
to be fair,
The thing is,
yeah,
every single Fallout game has an icon to it. So like, Washington D.C. is the capital of the United States. Fallout 4 is
Miranda
Boston,
just gave me
Massachusetts. That's the
Hawaii.
founding of America. You know, they have the Boston Tea Party and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Fallout New Vegas, everyone knows what Las Vegas is. Fallout 1 and 2 is
Yeah.
based out of California. Everyone knows what California is. So like,
Yeah.
I don't I or yeah, Miranda even mentions even Hawaii. Hawaii would be interesting.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good one. I
that
didn't
would
think
be
about
very
Hawaii.
interesting, but I feel
Yeah,
like the map would be very limited
yeah.
because, well, it depends on what. I guess it depends on the divergence because with the lack of technology, how
DLC
much of
maybe.
Hawaii do they build up?
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe a DLC, maybe, or something, or like you know what they've done with Fallout New Vegas, like it's kind of like it's not really to do with the timeline.
Mm.
Maybe if they do Fallout 76, because that's what to be fair, that's what I thought set Fallout 76 was to Fallout 4, like a
Yeah.
side kind of game.
Well,
But then
76 is
okay,
a spin-off. It's not an actual. It's not canon.
yeah, no, maybe that's what they can do with Hawaii, a spin-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I would
Because
love to
often
what I would love to see is have Fallout in Puerto Rico and have like a Caribbean Fallout. So it's like you're going on
that
vacation, but
would be interesting.
it's a nuclear apocalypse.
Just like a load of ghouls, like you literally just there's just a load of ghouls.
That I would not mind going to Puerto Rico. Yeah, no, 76 is classified as a spin-off. It's not classified as the main series.
Good. It doesn't even deserve to add the Fallout name, to be fair, but it should just be called 76, and then
Although
that's it.
apparently
Just leave it as that.
there was a Fallout Online game, but it got canceled,
Yeah.
which I would have been interesting. Okay, so we talked about the location, so let's move on to things outside of Bethesda because we talked about Bethesda for 20 billion years.
Yeah, let's just bury that now. Like,
so let's move on to some news. Let's talk about some depressing news. Let me just refresh my my
let's
news
talk about some
feed,
depressing
and we
news.
can talk about fun things like the shooting in New Zealand.
Oh, God,
Yay!
no.
So for those who don't watch the news, there was a shooting in New Zealand. Basically, two mosques in Christchurch. Christchurch is the capital of New Zealand. Actually, let me
What's the source plan? Where is your
What's
source?
the source? Everything. Jeez, it's everywhere. Let me pull up a map of New Zealand.
It is a lot.
Because yeah, it's funny because New Zealand it's one of those countries that you forget exists.
Yeah, you do.
You honestly really do forget that New Zealand exists. Actually, no,
Saying that, I did
Christchurch is
see
not the
that
capital. It's Wellington, not Christchurch.
there's people in England actually paying tribute to what happened over there
Oh
in
yeah.
that mosque. There's actually people paying.
Australia's actually, funny enough, New Zealand actually used to be a colony of Australia.
Yeah.
I need an actual like image of New Zealand. I don't need a map. I'm pulling up the image. Yeah, now it's showing pictures of the shooting of the mosque. So you know that. Okay, map of New Zealand. Professional content.
You got a map. You got a map up of Tambriel.
Oh shoot! I still have that up. Oops.
Yeah, you still had that.
I completely forgot that was up. I was like, this is not a picture of New Zealand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm pretty sure this is not New Zealand.
Okay, I'll use this map. Let me just download it. Stuff that you figured I would have had down already. At least I figured out OBS properly, so I can fix that. I just need to find the darn picture. There it is. Open, fix.
If anyone, excuse me, I'm literally just gonna run off, because I've got my business to attend to. Just real quick, I'm gonna be back. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Let me know when you're back on. I'll turn you off on the stream, but you can just let me know and I'll put you back up.
That's all right. I'll just mute myself.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll just mute myself. So yeah, I'll be back out real quick.
All right, take your time. I'll be able to entertain the masses. Okay, so this is a map of Australia and New Zealand. You cannot see my mouse, but that's perfectly fine. So in case you're really, really curious, this is New Zealand, sort of in the center here. That's New Zealand in the little corner. I often forgot about country. It used to be a territory of Australia, funny enough. But then it got its independence from Australia, and it was recognized as a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, which was an organization based out of Queen Elizabeth II. It was basically the remnants of the British Empire. So New Zealand had an attack recently in a city called Christchurch. I thought it was the capital. It's not the capital. Capital's Wellington. At least I believe it's Wellington. Before I start telling you all this fun stuff, let me actually get the information that I need. I believe it is Wellington. Let me have a look. New Zealand. The population. I don't care about the population. I do care about the population. I just don't care about the number of people, because that's not relevant. So the capital is Wellington, but the largest city is Auckland. So yeah, there was a shooting that occurred in Christchurch, New Zealand, where there were two mosques that were attacked, and there was 50 people that died. And it's really fascinating because you think of New Zealand, you think of like basically Australia. I mean, you think of like sheep, you think of like Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. So you don't really necessarily think that New Zealand is very multicultural. Fun fact, New Zealand is one of 3 countries in the world where multiculturalism is actually guaranteed by law. So it actually recognizes the fact that New Zealand is a multicultural society. The other 2 are Australia and Canada. Canada was the first adopting it in the 70s or 80s. Probably more towards the 80s. And then Australia and New Zealand were very recent, like within the past 20 years, I think. So yeah, New Zealand is very much an open society. It's very it's not necessarily predominantly white, because there are actually natives on New Zealand that have language and constitutional rights. But they're very much attuned to their Aboriginal population, especially compared to like Canada or even Australia. They have a deeper connection with their Aboriginal roots than the other 2 countries, mostly because like Canada tried to like kill off their native population, kind of same as America. And Australia, I'm not 100% sure on their history, but it's probably something similar. New Zealand, I think, had a similar attempts, but they weren't as successful. I feel like Aboriginal culture is more prevalent in New Zealand. But yeah, I was really saddened and kind of shocked to hear that New Zealand had this kind of shooting, because like you figured like, oh, America does this thing, or like
That's
Canada,
pretty much my reaction.
yeah, Canada had the Quebec City mosque shooting a few years ago. Australia, somewhere in Europe, so like London, or like France,
London,
or the
London
Netherlands, or something like that. But New Zealand, of all places, like that's the randomest corner of the earth that no one ever thinks about, that everyone thinks is part of Australia. And like,
did anyone actually claim? Did anyone actually claim responsibility for it? So
oh
normally
yeah,
after one big thing's up,
I don't
they're
think
straight
anyone's
onto
claimed
social media
responsibilities, but they did charge someone. They charged 3 people, and one of them appeared in court. Actually, if I go to my Google search,
So obviously when it happened in London, because obviously like 4 guys got out basically trying to stab everyone, and then they end up killing that police officer on Parliament ground.
yeah. I mean, Canada's had its share of attacks. No, all I'm getting right now is that New Zealand is planning on tightening their country's gun laws.
See, we don't have that issue, see? We don't have guns or anything, see? We don't have gun laws, so we have none.
No, and my personal, and again, I'm not going to badger America for its gun laws, because it does what it wants, but you can kill a lot less people with a knife than with a gun.
Yeah.
Like I can't go into a room and stab 100 people in an instant, but with an AK-47, I can shoot 100 people very easily.
Oh, easy. You can wipe out a whole room with an AK.
Absolutely.
Easily.
But with a knife,
it's a powerful
to kill 50 individual moving people, like, no.
Taking that gun at close range, you're pretty much dead.
Oh yeah.
Undoubtedly. It's fatal, regardless.
Miranda's asking if I read the manifesto. I have not. I don't know if it's still available or not. I'm just gonna.
But yeah,
I'm
America
Googling something that the FBI is probably gonna hate me for.
I reckon it's right to have a gun as long as it's being well. You're basically like maintaining it. Like it's just not like you go in the house, it's just like up on your cabinet, like up on your mantelpiece.
Okay.
As long as it's like pure area. But then there's just like I reckon it's easy to obtain it because obviously from over here, like we watch like the BBC, ITV News and all that stuff.
I'm pissed off that I can't watch BBC in Canada. It's so stupid.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But from over here, it just seems like America is very easy to get a gun. To me, it just seems like it's very easy to get a gun. You get a gun over here, you more or less get arrested as you're getting the gun.
Oh yeah.
Like they're literally on it. Like literally, they know what's coming in and out straight away. Like in my lifetime, I think I've actually only seen one gun attack, and that was like easily resolved. Like they didn't know where he got it from, but they had he didn't manage to use it. He tried to attack some of it, but they had enough like intel on him. They were basically tracking him. They knew he had like that kind of weapon. They're just waiting for the time for him to try and use it so they can arrest him.
Now,
I was like, you should have arrested. You had it.
Sorry, Miranda interestingly says he wanted to cause fear. He wanted to create a bigger divide on the gun argument. I mean, I guess it's a little bit successful because with every shooting though we have the whole gun debate. But I mean, this is also New Zealand, which is not well known for their gun laws are basically, they allow like hunting rifles for like game and stuff. And I don't claim to know New Zealand's gun laws. I really don't. But
we have that here, but you have to have a license for that.
Yeah, it's not as open as American gun laws.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand why America has their Second Amendment rights, and I'm not saying get rid of it because I don't want to do that because that's America's thing. But like, honestly, it's the statistical amount of shootings that happen in America compared to like Canada. Now, granted, you also have to factor in population. You have to factor in the fact that we don't have much of a gun culture in Canada, and like, but still, like, New Zealand is just the rent. Like, I don't know if I'm actually looking at the right. Like, I'm looking at pieces of the manifesto because I don't even think it's up. But I'm like, and I'm not gonna read it out because I'm not giving this guy any fame or anything. But like, he's talking about like he's supporting the idea of like a white homeland. I'm like, go F off, like, no. We don't need. Human beings are very tribalistic to begin with. We don't need more of that nonsense.
Yeah, well, where I come from, it's quite multicultural around there. Like that's what I mean. Like, because you do get your fair share of racism in like England. I've been on like a public transport and I've had like people shouting out racial comments like to like people with darker skin and everything, and I'm like, they're English, like what? Because their skin's a bit different. They're not English, and he's like, I've had people like oh, you need to go back to Africa, and I'm like, he's probably more English than you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and like, this is the interesting question of like, because I have a history degree. For those who don't know, I have a degree in history.
Yeah.
And my job as a history student is to analyze the trend of historical events to determine how we got to where we are now. And in the 1990s, there was a huge movement, especially in Europe, to globalize, to form the European Union, to have a single currency, to have this globalization movement, the introduction of technology, allowing conference and video calls from around the world, opening up borders and making the world more accessible. I feel like in the 2010s, and especially getting into the 2020s, as we're so close to it now, I feel there's a backlash. I truly feel that the tribalistic nature of human beings is now fighting the globalists, because everyone's saying that globalism is evil, globalism is the end of the world. We need to stop globalism. Globalism is bad. And if you really think about it, it's not. In my opinion, this is my opinion. I think that globalism, structured globalism, not like wild globalism, but if you have it structured correctly, I think it can do wonders. The fact that I can travel to Europe without needing a visa, without having my passport checked and stamped at every single border crossing, the fact that I don't have to worry about converting 6 different currencies. I can go on a 9-country tour in 3 weeks, and it's a lot less stressful than planning it 30 years ago. So in those sorts of senses, globalism is nice. I get to with the thanks to the internet, I can buy products from all over the world, from China, from the UK, from Australia, and like I get access to these products that I would have never been able to get 30 years ago. I can communicate. Hell, I'm communicating with you. You're in the UK right now. I'm in Canada. We're having this conversation. Without globalism, it wouldn't be as easy to
we'd just be writing letters to each other.
Like the internet and globalization has really brought that, and I fear that the 2010s and the 2020s are the pushback to that, and I feel like tribalism is just going to get worse at this point.
Yeah, it's just mad. Like obviously, I like you said, New Zealand. When I seen it, cause obviously weird enough, when I seen it, because obviously the BBC, they advertise their stuff on like Facebook and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually seen like I seen the it's not really an advertisement, but I seen the newsletter on my Facebook page, and I was like, New Zealand. So I'm like thinking maybe it's just an old one brought up article. But then obviously I looked up on actual Google. I was like, it's a bit of a random place, isn't it? It's a bit out of all those places I would have thought they would have like chose to do it, it would have been America. And that happens quite a lot. Or like somewhere else, but like New Zealand. Like when I think of New Zealand, I just think of like, bars and peaceful. yeah. But real peaceful, like just civil. Like what I mean? Like it was just a bit random. This is
really curious. I didn't realize that apparently there are people in the media trying to link the New Zealand attack to Trump. And I highly disagree with that. I don't like Trump. I can't stand his existence, but I don't believe that he had anything to do with this attack.
I don't mind him, but I do reckon he's a bit of a. He's not always 100% sure of what he's doing. I reckon with North Korea, I reckon they're just taking him for a walk in the park. To be fair.
But and that's the one thing I will say about Trump is that the fact that he was able to do that, no other president's been able to do anything that he's done. Like that. No, but even if it doesn't come to fruition, that's still more than anything that any other president has done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just can't help but think he's just taking him for a ride. He knows, like, I'll do this, I'll do this, and I'll get attraction, and
it could inspire. It could inspire better change in the past, but anyway, in the future. But anyway, I'm kind of surprised that the media is trying to. Parts of the media are trying to blame Trump, at least according to Trump, to blame him or at least link him to the attack in New Zealand, I think that's wrong, because that's
Yeah.
not a person of Trump's following doing that. I think it was an Australian guy or something. Like there's no connection. You can't just
in
link
this day and
Trump
age, the worst
to
thing,
a white
yeah, well, that's what I
supremacy
mean. In this day and
movement.
age, the worst thing to do is start to throw allegations as well if you've got no sort of evidence to back it up. Is the worst thing to do in this day and age, because honestly, you're going to get a bit of a backlash from it, surely.
Yeah,
Especially with Trump. I know he's quite controversial. His character himself is controversial, isn't he? Like he only has to say something, and then you get like 1,000 news outlets
yeah,
giving you like different angles from it. He's like, which one is telling the truth? Which one, you know what I mean? Because they all do exaggerate things. You got to admit they do. They take things that's not even realistic, and
Now,
they
see, this
go
is
they
really
swap
interesting. There's
forth.
a tweet that Trump made on yesterday that said, and I'm just going to quote just a part of it. It says, "Stop working so," with like 4 O's. Stop working so hard on being politically correct, which will only bring you down, and continue to fight for our country. The losers all want what you have. Don't give it to them. Be strong and prosper. Be weak and die. Stay true. I don't know what that means, but to me that sounds like a very um anger fueled thing to say. Like I can imagine like
Yeah,
I don't
very
want to
bold.
I don't want to link Hitler. But it sounds like
No,
something that he would say when we're talking about strength and weakness and prospering and dying. Like,
well, they do say history repeats itself. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, and the
I'm not
thing is,
Hitler, but
I didn't realize that on the magazines that the shooter used in New Zealand, he wrote a bunch of individual people's names and like dates and stuff on the magazines. So he put things like he actually put Alexandre Bissonnette, the man who did the shooting in Quebec City. So
yeah,
his name was on one of the magazines. He put like he referenced the 1683 Battle of Vienna, which apparently is really big for white nationalists because it's a recovery of Christians over the Ottoman Empire. Um,
yeah.
so like it's really fascinating to hear the language. And yeah, I would agree with Miranda says the media here is awful. They try to link anything they can to him. Like, feel free to hate him, disagree with him, but don't ignore facts.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree
like
that
yeah, but that's
the
like the
media
news here.
does push its
I don't always believe the BBC. The BBC are known for like exaggerating things, not always being transparent. And I don't know if you have it, but we have this Sun newspaper. I've
yeah,
literally just
we have
got
the Toronto Sun and the Ottawa Sun.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's just filled up with like just complete crap. Like I don't even watch it. I don't even like read it. I've given
yeah.
up. But the BBC they do like, but like with when ISIS like was big and everything, they weren't like broadcasting anything worth like reading. It was literally scaremongering.
Oh
That's
yeah.
all they were doing was
Yeah, no,
scaremongering.
I'm not a fan of a lot of media, especially when it comes to Trump, because it feels
Yeah.
biased either way. So either really biased for Trump, really biased against Trump. Like, there's no middle road when it comes
At
to
one
media
point,
and Trump.
I think the BBC were pretty much like licking like Donald Trump's ass at one point, and this is when he first was elected. And then when all these like with Russia, I think they were then contradicting themselves. It's like,
Oh yeah,
I don't know what the fuck you believe. Like
I don't understand.
yeah, I don't. It's I try not to get caught up in it, like with all the Brexit and all that. Like at the moment, like this Brexit crap with Theresa May, the UK at the moment in government stance is a laughing stock,
Oh my God,
and it's like
I've been watching Prime Minister's questions. I've been watching the votes. Theresa May is
yeah,
literally like delusional at this point.
yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah, my
But what
deal's
did
the
I say
best
months
deal,
back?
and it's the only way, and you vote for my deal." And I'm like, "Get over yourself, woman! Like,
Yeah,
come
but
on."
I told you a couple of months back. I don't reckon she was fit for office.
Oh hell
I'm not
no.
funny. She was handed. David Cameron did leave her with a pile
Oh
of shit.
yes,
He pretty much said,
absolutely,
let's have this
guaranteed.
referendum. I know it's going to go my way. I know we're going to stay to remain in. And then when it basically went tits up,
And
he was
then they
like,
lost. I was like, "Oh
I'm out.
shit."
He resigned. He went, I'm out. And then she basically had to pick up his shit. That
Yeah.
I can see, she did have a lot of work, but
Hmm.
I reckon she should have just been a temporary stand-in. She's not fit for
I like
office.
to make her the equivalency of Kim Campbell. Kim
Yeah.
Campbell is a prime minister in Canada who basically took the fall for Brian Mulroney. basically Brian Mulroney is the prime minister who tried to get Quebec to sign the Canadian Constitution, because Quebec originally didn't sign it because Quebec's being Quebec. So Brian Mulroney wanted to be the prime minister that brought in Quebec, and then it fell apart. And so he actually caused a constitutional crisis. And so Mulroney resigned, and Kim Campbell took his place. And basically, Kim Campbell almost destroyed the Conservative Party because Mulroney left her a huge mess. She barely campaigned, and she basically made a mess of everything. So I feel like Theresa May's in a similar boat where, like, David Cameron, Theresa May is causing this constitutional crisis, and then she's gonna. And I think, didn't Theresa May say she's not even gonna run for leadership in the next election?
Yeah, no, she's not gonna run for it. No.
But then again, I literally do not believe a single word that comes out of her mouth, because she once said that, we're not gonna have a general election, and then she has a general election.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you literally just lied.
You should never trust a politician. If history's ever told you anything, you should never trust a politician.
Or even funny, she said a second referendum is not an option. It's never going to happen. We're not going to discuss. It's not going to happen. And then when her vote came to a second defeat, she brought up a second referendum as a possible option.
Yeah.
Like, what
I reckon if they do that, I reckon it's going to go tits that person. I reckon, it's literally everyone's going to be pissed.
At this point, I want to no deal Brexit. I don't want them to get an extension, because they don't deserve one. They've had 2 years to come up with a deal. That's 2 years of negotiating. That's enough time.
Plan. I live here. If you even slightly bring up Brexit now, and I've talked to people that's left, and I've talked to people that's remained, there's one thing we all agree on. Can you just get on with it? Just get on with it,
yeah. And the thing is, they want to entertain the possibility of an extension.
Yeah. No, don't need an extension.
It's gonna leave. It's the last thing you want to do, because people don't want an extension. Even a small one, they're like, no.
No. What's his name? Nigel Farage. He said he's planning on going to Brussels and just telling them, we don't want an extension.
It's like, no, don't give us an extension. Don't. I agree. It's ridiculous.
Basically. Our prime minister is basically useless. I said president, and she's prime minister, though. And I ain't got a clue. But anyone plan it. You talk to anyone on air, you just like, shut up. Can we just get on with it? And I'm like, this, that, titter tat.
Oh yeah, you've been going on about this for 2 years. I still have the Australian New Zealand.
That's the problem with the UK government. They don't listen. They don't listen to the people. People now just want it to actually get on. They just want it to get on and let's go. But they don't listen to the people. They really don't.
Because they're stupid.
No, they don't. They really don't. Well, I'm not saying there's people like linking Guy Fawkes and everything. I think, no, that's not too dark what Guy Fawkes done. He wanted to blow up bloody Parliament. He was ready to blow up Parliament. Let's not go down news road. I'm not saying let's blow him up, but I reckon it should be reformed. Something needs to be done.
Absolutely.
I reckon the Queen should the Queen in that sense, she's not really got, but she can just step in if she thinks her country's
It would be highly irresponsible for the idea of. This would have been true 500 years ago for the monarchy. Now if the monarchy interferes, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it looks really bad. So that's why the Queen doesn't generally interfere with things like this, because
she's pretty much
she wields a lot of power. Everyone says, "Oh, the Queen's irrelevant. The Queen's irrelevant." No, there's a reason why she doesn't say stuff. There's a reason why she keeps her mouth shut. Is because whatever she says,
she could probably shut it all down if she wanted to. If she says tomorrow I want it all shut down, I want this, but she probably could. But it's like you said.
Oh yeah.
She didn't get involved.
It's the influence and the amount of power that she does wield behind the scenes that people don't think about. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, she has enough. She has enough polling weight. She can do whatever she wants, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
But she didn't get involved because it do look bad if the monarchy gets involved. It makes the country look bad itself. Your Queen's out there can step in because your government was basically unable to do their job.
Well, yeah, and the problem is if I were the funny thing is if I actually, as a Commonwealth citizen, I can actually run for office in the UK. This is actually quite funny. I could actually become prime minister if I wanted to. But the thing is,
Come on.
I look at the British politics. I look at the British political system, which is similar to ours in Canada, and I look at the leaders of the party. Like, if you were to choose, if you were able to choose which party ruled Parliament right now, who would you choose?
Oh,
You see,
it's
you
difficult.
can't think of an instant answer because you
No.
actually have to think about, okay, what leader is the least
Yeah,
awful?
exactly.
Because you have
Exactly.
here's your choices. You have Theresa May, who's a piece of nonsense. Actually, let me actually pull up.
You should just be able to go, but no, really can't.
So Theresa May is a piece of nonsense. Jeremy Corbyn is also a piece of
Oh, no.
nonsense.
No.
You have Nicola Sturgeon's head of the SNP, but she wouldn't become prime minister. It would be Ian Blackford, who's
Yeah.
literally a independence party for Scotland. So you can't,
Yeah.
you can't run the UK based out of that. So that's not going to happen. You have the Liberal Democrats, which are a joke. You
Yeah, they are.
have the DUP, which is Democratic Unionist Party of Northern Ireland. That's also not going to happen. You have
No.
Sinn Féin, which doesn't even stand in the parliament because they're literally a Republican Party for Ireland, so they don't even stand in parliament. You have the Welsh Party, which is like Plaid. I don't even know how to pronounce their party name. Like Plaid Cymru.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, there's a bunch of
can't
letters that
pronounce it
don't make
now.
sense. And UKIP is not even elected. Like, they're out. That's it. That's your choice. You don't have.
So but at one point I did want UKIP, and then like you said, they're now out.
Well, I mean, UKIP is literally irrelevant now because they're leaving. The point of UKIP was to leave the European Union. We're now doing that.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
UKIP is quite useless.
Yeah, they ain't gonna do shit. Basically.
If the Conservatives had a new leader, like maybe Jacob Rees-Mogg, maybe.
Yeah.
If Labour had a new leader, I would go for Labour personally. But
I just find it hard to trust either of them. I'm not really find like we got a Tory government, and I'm not really find people like who've got illnesses or think we're basically struggling, and our government's just pretty much like,
oh
go
yeah,
and screw yourself. We don't give a shit. Like
um,
people that are struggling at the moment, and I think like there's people like being told to go to work implant the new benefit scheme, and it's like, oh yeah, but benefits just for people that don't want to work. But there's people on it that's legitly just generally can't work. But
oh
I read
yeah,
an article the other day. There was like a guy. I read it as well. Like actually, one article is on like a page I'm on, and he had fit to go back to work assessment. He is apparently fit to go to work. Yeah, bear in mind he's in a wheelchair, so he
damn,
let you know. Yeah, he's on a wheelchair, but they said that you can sit at like what's it called a till. You could do like retail work and everything. So I said that's fine. I don't mind doing that. But he basically the bus he said the job they gave him to go and do. He said I have to jump on like a bus at public transport. He was on the bus at the time. He goes, I have to have someone with me. I couldn't get on because there was push chairs and everything on there. I couldn't get on. There was nowhere for me to sit on there. The driver wouldn't let me sit. So he goes, I had to catch the next one, which caused me to be half an hour late to my
yeah,
So what they done? They actually stopped his money. They sanctioned him. You
wow,
know, sanctioned on the basis, and he appealed it. And he had
mm-hmm.
his witness with me. He appealed it, and they basically denied it. They said it wasn't a good enough excuse. And he's like, I literally can't walk. What do you want me to do? Get up out of my wheelchair and start walking, even though I've not been walking for 27 years.
Yeah,
Well, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't work miracles. I couldn't get on the bus. The driver said I can't get on the bus for safety purposes. I'm not allowed on that bus because
and
you
how
can't
else
just
are you
sit
supposed to
anywhere.
get to work and stuff? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, but
Um,
I've seen it though, Plant, as well. There's been people like complain on this page. There was one not long back, a cancer patient, and they've done it back that he's fit for work. He's
yeah,
like he's dying. He's in terminal stages, literally. He's in stage 3 stages, and they're not going to be helping like financially anymore.
damn.
Yeah, but that's our Tory government. They don't. And don't get me started on single parents. Single parents at the moment, I find it even worse because like literally they're saying, well, you can work, but you can't. Like the one woman said,
Oh
she
yeah,
got a job, but she couldn't fit the time her job with the time restraint of picking up her kids. She said, I'm a single parent. I have 2 kids. I have to pick them up from school. I can't afford babysitters. On the income I'm on, I can't afford people. to have babysitters. I don't really have family members that live local, so
Yeah.
they sanctioned her for 6 months.
I love how Theresa May once said that the best way to get out of poverty is work. That's a load of
Yeah,
bull. Because I know
and
people that
you
work
know
like
what?
two
I've
or
been
three
trying to
jobs
work.
that are still in poverty.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get work. That's me. I'm trying to get work, and it's hard.
Oh
Especially
yeah.
what annoys me to get a job nowadays. You've got to do everything online, and to me, it just seems like it goes in the system, and then that's it. It's kind of gone.
Oh yeah, it gets
Whereas the
lost.
days where you can go in, like I said, I wouldn't even mind if I go into a place and I say to them, like I want a job. I'm desperate for work. I want to work because I do want to work. I'm fed up with not working. Like, everyone
Hmm.
needs to work. It keeps you sane. But I wouldn't mind going in the plant and saying, I want a job. I'll work hard. I'll prove it to you. Give me a week. Give me a week trial. It could be unpaid. I've gone out without money at the moment, earning money. I do a couple of odd jobs, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I do a week of unpaid work. If I prove what I think, then hire me. That's what you used to be able to do back in the day. But now it's just all online. It just seems like you kind of just get swept aside. Or over here, what's most common, like I've applied for a couple of jobs, and I know for a fact they've basically went with someone that's just left school because it's cheaper,
Yeah.
minimum wage. Yeah, I've got more experience, and it's like, and when I was actually on the government's like the government state benefit,
Hmm.
they did they didn't help. They were calling me saying I'm a liar. I'm not trying to get work. I went, well, it's not kind of true, is it? Because I am going to the places I've applied for. And she's like, well, you're not. I'm probably going to have to sanction you. I went, well, then sanction me.
Yeah.
What does that do? All that causes me is to become basically, I'm not, because what used to annoy me is because you're being uncooperative. I went, you're causing me to be like this. Like, yeah, you've sanctioned me already. I've not got no money.
Hmm.
I'm going to be happy. I'm really going to be happy. Seeing as like, because obviously my mental health doesn't, it restricts me from doing certain things.
Yeah.
Everything like I can't be like in a place that I'm moving around. I have to be comfortable because otherwise I will flip out. And
Hmm.
I'm known that she called me a liar. She said that I was lying about my mental health. I had to.
Wow.
She's more or less lying, saying like you meant like mental health. I said I suffer with severe. Like I would just tell me. I at the time in that part of the time of my life I was suffering with severe depression,
Mm.
and I had severe depression. Didn't really give a shit what happened, and I was anxiety. You can
Yeah.
tell I had anxiety because how I was like reacting to things. Well, you've not got a medical. Your previous one I should have met. Yeah, but that's them. You're just saying it. Then she tried making me travel over 10 miles, just 10 miles, man, not for a job interview, just to go to a jobs fair to see if
Hmm.
there's any jobs. 10 miles away from where I live, which caused me to have to get on free buses.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that because I'm not going to be working way out there for minimum wage because that's what the jobs are offering, minimum wage. You could look up
Hmm.
online what was going to be there at the convention.
Yeah.
She didn't like it. I had to physically go to my doctor and tell my woman doctor that I need to get a doctor's note. And she said, "What for?" I said, "Well, my they call it work coaches, basically more or less call me a liar." She went,
Yeah.
"You don't." She went, "You don't need a doctor's note to show them. You don't need to prove that. Prove that."
It's like
So
clearly.
yeah, she goes, and gave it to me anyway. She goes, "I'll give it just to basically keep them happy." I gave
Hmm.
him that. You know what she says to me? Well, I wasn't calling you a liar, but I am very sorry. I went, no, don't go down that road with me because I will get annoyed. And when you call me a liar for like 2 weeks straight, and then
Yeah.
even then she sanctioned me because I refused to go to a job because I specifically asked for. They said, "What are you specialized in?" I said I could do heavy lifting, so basically I could do what was it called? I could do warehouse stuff. I've done building in the past. I said, but
Yeah.
I would like to go into IT and retail because that's where I would like to go. So she tried putting me into what was it called? There's like a care work. I didn't
Hmm.
want that. I wouldn't fit into that. She tried to sanction me because of that. And I went out years ago because obviously I've got older siblings, and
Yeah.
before it became crap we've got now with the Tories, they said they actually helped you with work and they're actually they actually cared about the person. Because now they didn't give a shit. I went, it's the Tory government. They create this not to help people off. It's just cut on money. And I was going to say, let the richer get richer. I went, they don't give a shit. I went, they don't
Yeah.
care about some 23-year-old woman or like 19-year-old woman that's got one child and is can't work because she's got a kid to look after. And like she's being sanctioned. They don't care about that because they get to go in driving their Bentley, and that's a simple fact. They
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, I said, do you reckon, like, I think in their warped ideology, like, we spend our money on crap that, I was like, when I was on, most of my money plan went on food, which is not cheap, that's expensive, bills. Then also you got your gas, your electric, your water. That's where it all went. By the time I had what, like £10 left. So
Mm.
single parent mom, just imagine like what their money has gone on, and then when you've got someone telling you, oh, what's it called, oh, we've sanctioned you for 6 months, you ain't gonna get money for 6 months. As a single parent, I can only imagine. Well, I'm not defending some people it's become suicidal because of it.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people, it's been proven as well. They're saying it works. It's universal credit scheme. It's working. Yet, like statistics and like just pure research proves otherwise. It's about, I think it's like 75% more people that's on it is basically gained severe depression, anxiety, and some people has actually become suicidal. There's actually some people that's actually killed themselves over it. They've just basically gave in. Not long back, there was a guy that killed himself because literally said that he was getting no help. He struggled. He struggles anyway. He's got his own issues, and he was killed. He said the government failed him, and they were saying
Mm.
they said, and there was another bloke as well. His pension as well, it's been cut. He goes, I've worked all my life. He goes, I've worked all my life, and now they want to basically restrict me from my pension. He goes, he goes, I worked, I think he said, I worked for 50 years in this country. I
Yeah.
paid, he goes, I've paid my taxes for 50 years. When now I want to break and sit back because I'm getting too old, they're restricting me of my pension.
Yeah, that's
They said they can't
ridiculous.
have it. That's just mad. He gets this ever since this bloody stupid government's come in, the
Yeah.
Tory government. There was literally like someone in my local town centre. Like there's a famous artist we got. Is an unknown artist. He's literally just what's the best part about it? He's an unknown artist there,
Mm-hmm.
and basically any work that he does, you can't touch. If it's graffiti work, you can't touch it. In the middle, up on this big apartment complex, he's literally painted a picture about the Tories, basically just calling the Tories trash. The
Oh
best thing
wow.
about it, the best thing about it is the government can't touch it because he
Yeah.
technically now owns that. Yeah, owns that. Well, there was a piece he done back 4 years ago. He literally just he done graffiti on a side of someone's house, and the council didn't like it because it was a council house. But he sprayed the side of the house, and the guy in the house didn't know what to do because they were telling that you got to move out of the house now. He's like, well, this has been my house.
Mm.
Someone actually bought the art piece for £250,000. They literally took the side of the house off to display it in a museum.
Oh wow.
And the guy moved out and bought a house.
Mm.
And again, it don't own to anyone. Technically, it's owned to the man, but they were earning it, and they didn't like it. And it's like, but that's what he's done. Basically, in our town center, you can see it as you pull up into public transport. It's right there. I went, and they can't do nothing back because it's technically on a private owned building. So if anyone that owns it is, I don't know if you've got them. There's a Premier Inn. I don't know if you've got them where you're to a Premier
I'm
Inn.
not sure.
Is a hotel company.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
technically now own that. They own that, and their value of the building's gone right up because anywhere he paints, it automatically rises it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like our countries don't like the Tory government, and that's just a simple fact.
Yeah.
They don't really, they really don't care. Like they say, oh, it's working. We're trying to. It's for the people, and people are like, where? Where's the evidence to, you know, where's the evidence to display this?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like, mate, she just like you said, she says one thing, and then she contradicts it.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah, so
I don't believe a single word she says.
it's to be, yeah. So I've been yabbling on for ages. That's why I said we should not go into Brexit.
Because we ended up going on a tangent.
Oh yeah,
Let's
yeah.
because we've been broadcasting for almost 2.5 hours, so 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
So let's take the next 10 minutes and talk about something positive because we've been talking about nothing but negative stuff.
Let's talk about unicorns.
Oh God. Um, I don't know what's
Positive.
something. I
It's really
mean,
bad. Like we're like, let's talk positive now. Now we're struggling to think of
I
positive
was like,
stuff, or when it
well, I
gets
mean,
stuff,
I
we're
have a
like,
bunch of personal stuff that's like positive,
you
but like,
go
I don't know
for it.
if we want to
I
go.
pretty much run myself dry.
I don't know. I mean, I can talk about my family history research if that interests you.
I don't really have a family history. All I know that I've got a dad, a mum and a dad.
Mom and a dad. Yeah, no, but okay, I'll switch out the images, make sure that works. There we go. So yeah, I've been completing ancestry work for about 9 years or so. I first started about 2010 or so, and I put it away for I finished doing it about 2011, and I put it away just because I wanted to focus on like high school, and then I got into university, and I never really picked it up until about a few months ago. Because in Canada we have a law where we can only access census records 92 years after they've been made. So like in order to access the 1931 census, I had to wait until 2023, which fucking sucks because I have to wait. I'm like, I want the information now. So I've been able to access the 1921 census records, which actually has provided a lot of information in terms of proving my ancestors' existence. And we have a lot of our census records actually indexed and digitized by names. You can actually search for a name, and then it brings up the census record and actually brings up the individual person. So I've started digging into that, and I've actually found out some really interesting things on my father's side, because I didn't do a lot of research on my father's side. It was mostly my mother's side that I did originally. So I found out that I have ancestors that came from South America, from British Guyana, which is the colony in Britain that was part of like the Suriname and the French Guiana and Dutch Guiana and all that sort of section. And I found out they came from there. But their father was actually from England, who was a naval, I think he was like a merchant sea captain or something. So he traveled a lot around the British colonies, including the West Indies. So he eventually married a woman who was from British Guyana and had 4 children, and all 4 children, as either adults or teenagers, came over to Canada in 1902. So we're actually pretty recent, at least on my father's English side. But on my French, my French roots go back about 400 years, and they've been in Canada since the 1630s. So it's a bit of a mix. Or, part of me is very new to Canada, and part of me has been here for 400 years.
Damn. Yeah. That's just what I need to do. I need to look up my family history, because if one thing, I don't really know anything about my family history.
The problem is that the British census records you have to actually pay to access. Unless if you go through a website called familysearch.org, and they actually have a lot of the records indexed, so you could actually look it up. Through family search, and they'll actually do that. But the Canadian census records are completely open to the public for free.
Yeah, because we got paid for it. That's the pain. We actually.
That's the dumb thing. I'm like, why do you have to pay to access digitized records? Like, it doesn't cost anything to see that.
It is insane.
It's really bizarre. But yeah, I've been making really good headway, and I've actually developed an ID code system so that every single person in my family tree, because right now on both sides of my family, I actually have 450 people. So that's quite a lot of people. So if you factor out like half of my father's side of the family has about 200 people on the list. So imagine 200 people with either common last names, because I actually have a few people with similar last names, or the same first and last name. Because the problem in my family is that the firstborn male son of my family line has the same first name. So, ancestor is going to be named, I'll use Carl as an example. So my great-grandfather's name would be Carl. It's not actually Carl, but I'll just use Carl. Then my great-great-grandfather's name would also be Carl. And my great-great-great-grandfather's name would also be Carl. And it keeps going and going and going and going. So it's like an endless chain of Carls. And so my dilemma was, how do you differentiate each person? Because there's no unique identifier, because everyone has the same first and last names, because they're all male, so they're not going to change their maiden names. So what I did is I developed an ID code system where you take, it's basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's like 7 alphanumeric code, 7-digit alphanumeric code. The first 2 characters are letters, so it's the first 2 letters of the person's last name, the maiden name, And this gets a bit tricky because there's certain names that have the first two letters. So, for example, I'll go why am I blanking on an example of a last name? I have like plenty of them.
I'm just doing it now. I'm trying to look now, but I've got like over 4,000 results.
Yeah. So let's say you're talking about like okay, so here let's take a sort of example. So McKay and McKim. So those are two very different last names, even though they both start with MCK. So what I've done is, in the event of an individual being of a similar last name, we just keep the code, because every person can still have a unique identifier code. So the next digit, which is a number after the first two letters of the last name, represents the generation number. Now, I've had to develop a generation number starting from myself, because I can't go from the past forward, because if I do that, then there are going to be generations that I didn't know existed, so I'll have to rejig every single code. So I've developed it backwards. So I've made myself generation 0. So for example, I'll pull up my ID code. You can't see my ID code, but I will put it up on my own screen so I can actually read it out once my little thing loads. So my code would actually be PL. So the first two letters represent my last name, Plant. Followed by where did it go? There we go. So mine is PL0201M. So the PL is Plant. The 0, the first 0, represents my generation number, so generation 0. Anyone that is before me, so like if I'm actually an only child, but if my sister had a child, or if I had a child, that would be generation -1, and so then I would put PL-1, because it would be -1. The next number after, so it's PL02, so the 2 actually represents the birth order of the previous generation. So my father is the second child within his generation section. He has an older sister, so that 2 represents my father's birth order number. So it's to make sure that people who have similar birth orders don't get the same code. So I added that extra digit to differentiate the individual. Then the 01 is my birth order. So I'm the firstborn child of the second-born child of the Plant family. And then the last letter, M, represents my gender. So, if there was an individual who I don't know what their maiden name is, so for example, if I was married and I had a wife and I didn't know her maiden name for whatever reason, she would have my code, so PL0201, but then she would have F instead of M. And I've had to do that for a few people because I don't know a few people's maiden names. So I developed that to differentiate between the two. So yeah, PL0201M. So that's my unique identification code. So it's 0th generation, but I'm this my father's second born, and I'm the firstborn of that line. And I put 01 because I know that there's family that have more than like 9 kids. I actually recently discovered that I have an ancestor who's the 12th child in her family set. So her ID code, I've written it down. Let me find it, because I went through and I had to add like at least 60 new people to the list. I've got a lot of updating to do. Here we go. So it's MC 4112. And that represents the fact that she's the 4th generation, so 4 generations away from 0. Her father is the firstborn of his line, and she is the 12th child in her line. So that's why I added the 0, 1, not just the 1, because there could be multiple children. And that's why I don't have it in the triple digits, because there's not going to be 100 kids in a single generation, because that's ridiculous. So that's the highest that I've gotten so far for birth order is 12.
It's quite complex, really. That's what I mean, because obviously I want to look at my
this took me weeks to develop, because I had the problem of people getting the same code. I need to make sure that everyone gets a unique code. And I'm still actually running into this problem. I have someone in my tree right now who I have two different people, both with the same the first two letters of their last name. They're both of the same generation. Their father is the same birth order, and they are the same birth order and the same gender. So this code
Oh
is
shit!
MC3101F. They're both MC3101F. So what
That's
I've
where it
done
becomes complicated.
so what I've done to combat this problem is I've literally just added the letter B at the end of one of the codes. So it's like
Right.
MC311F and then MC311FB. And I can just continue to add letters until I've run out of letters in the alphabet. Then I have a really big problem on my hands.
Yeah. You can
But
start
that,
printing your own like alphabet.
oh no, it's my obsession. My obsession at this point is to make sure that every single person has a unique identification code. I don't want to start just
Yeah.
randomly assigning numbers because the numbers don't mean anything. I wanted a code that could represent the person as perfectly as possible.
As well.
So, it has their maiden last name, it has their generation number, it has their birth order, it has their gender. I don't want to just start saying, person 103. There's no personality, there's no story behind it. But if you say MC2304F, that's the second generation. Their father was the third child of their line. They're the fourth child and they're a female. That tells you so much about, and that's just their ID code, So that was my obsession, was to create an ID code system that gave everyone a little story, that gave everyone a unique identification code, and to make sure that they could be searchable. And then from there you have the full name, you have their gender, their date of birth, their place of birth, their date of death, place of death, their date of burial, their place of burial. And that's just the basic information. Then you get started into the technical, what they did for a living, how did they die, then that's just, it's an ongoing project.
Yeah, it's going to take time. But I can remember when you told me about it, when you started it.
Oh yeah, it's a very deep passion of mine, because I want to. I'm discovering ancestors that I never knew existed.
That's what I mean. I need to know about my history. Like, I don't even know who my grandfather or anything is. So that'd be a start there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Literally, I need to get. I
So,
do wonder where I come from, because I do know I've got Scottish and Irish heritage in that sense.
Yeah.
From my mother's side, but I don't really know much about my father's side. My mother's side, I can recall back to in Scotland there. I think we came from the Vikings.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, but my father's side, I can't even tell you, like, even a generation away. Literally, the only part of my dad's history, my father's history, is my dad itself. So yeah, I'll probably look up that website, because I done a search just now. I got over 4,000 results, so it looks like I'm gonna have to.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to filter through. I mean, I'll even send you the link to the FamilySearch.org website. It's run by the Mormons, but you don't need to be Mormon to actually have an account.
No.
But I can send you that link over Discord, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's because we've been going for about 2.5 hours, and we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah. Is I don't know what time is there. What time would it be?
It's almost 11 o'clock here.
Oh, it's like almost 3 o'clock here.
Yeah. So anyways, I'd like to thank everyone that stopped by in the chat. Thank you so much, Miranda. Thank you so much, Catrick. And thank you so much, Lance, for stopping in. Really do appreciate it. It helps to bring in the chat and conversation, to make sure we don't talk about Fallout 76 for 2 hours, because we like to bring a little bit of positivity.
That can spew up on so many different areas. That can probably be like a whole day's worth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So let's do that.
So yes, please, for anyone that's watching back, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to BoileeHead's channel. I actually left a link in the description to his channel. It'll take you straight there. He does amazing content. He's the stereotypical British YouTuber, does all that really cool British stuff. So yeah, check out his channel. He's really cool. He does really awesome content. So yeah. Any final words?
Just peace. Have a good day, good night, wherever you're to, and yeah, if you enjoyed your stream, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone that stopped by, and have yourselves a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and however you're listening to this.